All right, there you are. We're having all kinds of technical difficulties tonight. I just got this laptop and got it set up, and so I'm still working through that. Also, got home after going to my wife's doctor's appointment, and the laptop was, well, not the laptop, the Wi-Fi was going really, really slow, so I had to move to a public location to do this video. So we'll see how it goes tonight. I may get asked to leave. I'm sure I'll get interrupted. And so hopefully we can get through this pretty painlessly. Uh, I canceled the guest I had for tonight because there's just been so much going on this week that we need to talk about. And so we're going to do that in this video. But before we do that, let's get into some of the other stuff. Give everybody a few minutes to get here. First of all, let me put the ticker at the bottom. The fuel surcharge information was not available. Typically, this happens when there is a holiday, and we had a holiday on Monday. However, my email is down there. If you guys need to contact me, feel free to do that. Also, let's take a few seconds to say hello to everybody that came in that I hadn't already said hi to. And please forgive me if I missed somebody. Looks like Ryan Harris is here, Rooster Cruiser, Terry Felice, Once Upon a Time in YouTube Trucking, and Forklift from Hell, Ocho Mingo, Brian Walton, Edge, uh, Trucker Zoe. Brian says he lost his job at Swift. If you wanna talk about that, give us some details. We can surely talk about that. Uh, Ryan's doing his laundry. That's something I need to do. I just been so busy since I got here. I hadn't had a chance to do that. Jack is here, and Romeo is Burning is here. That's kind of a cool name. All right, so let's talk about the elephants in the room. Get those out of the way. First of all, we did a video earlier this week about how to get more loads at Swift. I got a lot of positive feedback from that. I hope I helped a lot of guys out with that. And so the other thing that happened, and this has created a lot of confusion. I'll get back to some of the comments here in a minute, is that we had a situation where for a long time, and this has nothing to do with the contract, that Swift had been telling us that if we didn't have our balloon payment at the end, first of all, if you were in a straight lease, they said you could roll it over into an MRP. Now they said only certain brands could be rolled over into an MRP. And then secondly, they said that you could finance your balloon payment if you got to the end of the MRP and didn't have it. Now they're saying maybe you can, maybe you can't. Also, it was a long-standing understanding that on the straight lease, if you wanted to pay your truck off early, you could. They It wasn't too big of an issue for most people because the amount of money you're talking about on one of those newer trucks prohibited a lot of people from doing that. Well, they've gone back on that now and said maybe they'll let you, maybe they won't let you. And it's created some chaos. Just this week, I had a lady that contacted me, and she was 30 days away from paying her truck off. And she had had some stuff happen, and she was going to need to finance her balloon payment. This is something she had counted on for the length of her lease, and now that's not an option. Now, from this, everybody thought, oh, I'm going to quit, I'm going somewhere else. No, it's not really going to affect me at all. I'm going to act like that it's not an option. And so I'm going to make corrections to where I can live with that. Now, a lot of you that are further along, like this lady I just told you about, where she's 30 days from paying her truck off, this is going to put her in a bind. She might have to start a new lease. She might have to do a balloon payment. Refinance her balloon payment with her bank or something like that. Um, this is by no means something that is caused by reading the contract, like I'm always preaching to you guys. The contract doesn't specify either way. However, in a lot of states, and again, I'm not a lawyer, you guys check with your lawyer, a verbal commitment is the same as a verbal contract. And so, again, I don't know. This lady was really upset. She was talking about taking legal action. Um, I I'm really not a big fan of that because what's going to happen is as soon as that happens, Swift's going to come out with an addendum and say, "Fine, we're not going to help nobody." I'm sure it's a case by case basis. Depends how well you took care of the truck, what kind of driver you are. But I'm just going to run my operation like that. That's not an option. I have no plans of quitting this company at this point. And so, another thing we need to talk about, I mentioned that I bought a 2008 Volvo in Illinois and that I'm going to get it this coming up weekend. A lot of you took that to mean that I was quitting. But here's some things you don't realize. I have a shop here in Lubbock that's 15 by 50. I could store that truck there. Um, Also, my son owns a mechanic shop and he does diesel mechanic work. He's offered to have me bring it down there and he will look at that truck, look it over, make sure it's roadworthy. And then I can lease that truck on to Swift. Um, just because I get a truck doesn't mean I'm changing companies. Now, several of you wanted to debate about if it's better to do a lease or go to a dealership. I would say there's actually a third option, and that's to save up money and where you could pay cash for a truck. The big advantages of a lease are that if you get to a point where something happens in your life and you need to stop driving, you can get out from under that truck. You're not bound. And so that's the big advantage there. The other big advantage is if you have a major breakdown, these guys can oftentimes help you with finance and get you better labor rates, better parts prices, things like that. So, whereas if you're outside finance, they're probably not going to offer you all of those benefits. So, there's definitely some advantages to a lease. The obvious advantages to going out and purchasing your own is that you can move the truck more freely if you're going to change companies. Now, there is a portability clause in my contract where I can move the truck after I've been here a year. I have to put 10 to 12,000 down, which is not terrible because it would cost me more than that uh, to uh, to go out and get a truck of comparable comparison, in the relative near future in that price range. Now, one thing you've got to keep in mind is say that I did that, say that I put 10 or 12,000 down, move the truck to another company, I would still have to pay it in full during the term of that lease. Um, they wouldn't roll it over into MRP or anything like that. So you'd want to make sure that you're super financially stable before you did that. So we're going to talk about those things tonight. And the third option, and this is the one that I think is probably the best and probably what I'm gearing towards, is we're going to see how that truck does coming back from Illinois. But I think the best option is to maybe um, drive that truck 6 or 8 months, buy another used truck at a cheaper price, and run it that way. That way, you're not under truck payments, things like that. Now, the big danger with that, and the thing that you've got to be careful of, is repairs can eat you alive. And that's part of why I'm bringing this truck back to Texas. I'm going to have my son go through it. It'll be like a 1,200-mile test drive for me. So I'm going to go through it pretty thoroughly as well. And then hopefully I can make an informed decision. Now, there's a chance that I could fall flat on my face doing this. And I realize there's a percentage of the population watching this video that would love it if I fell on my face. I'm hoping that I'm successful at it just because it's going to give me one more side of the coin to share with you guys. Now, why do I not want to get my own authority? I've done videos about this, but basically at this point, I just don't have any interest in it. Suddenly you're dealing directly with DOT, with audits, things like that. And when I do a risk reward analysis, I just don't see the benefit there right now. Now, Does that mean I'll never see the benefit? No, market conditions could change. And at some point, I might see the benefit of it and I might decide that that's something I want to do. But you got to keep in mind when you get your own authority, the authority's not what's expensive. The getting your own insurance at that point is what's expensive. You guys know that I have my own insurance currently, but it runs under Swift's DOT numbers because I'm running under their authority. If I go out and get my own authority, it runs under my numbers and it's a new DOT number and the insurance skyrockets. And I've heard crazy numbers. I haven't researched it because honestly, it's not something I've ever been interested in up until this point. But just know that it's the other thing is a lot of brokers don't want to work with you the first 6 months to a year that you're a new DOT number. So, not saying I would never do it, but it's definitely something that I wouldn't rush into. So that's kind of what's on my mind this week. Let's go back and take a look at some of your comments. Hey, Trucker Zoe, and I think I read that one already. Sorry, it's a new laptop and I'm still learning how to use it. Hey, Jack and Romeo, I think I hit you guys a minute ago. Applied 2 weeks ago. The drug screen is taking a long time. Typically, the drug screen here takes about 3 days. Of all the people I've talked to that's come to work here, I had one that the lab lost their results. And they had to put a trace on it, and it did take a little bit longer. If you're having trouble, I would recommend contacting your recruiter and seeing what's going on with your drug test. Obviously, this week having a holiday in it messed up the fuel surcharge. I don't have that information. And so that's what I'd say about that. For those that don't know that missed the first part of the video, my Wi Fi at the house just went to nothing hardly, really slow. So I had to move to a public place to do this video and use public Wi Fi. Hopefully I can get through this video. People are going to walk by, they're going to say hi to me. And so if you see me nodding or saying hello to somebody, that's what's going on there. But seems like every Tuesday and Thursday we have some type of technical issue. But this laptop seems to be working a lot better. Hey, Asphalt Jungle. And here we go. Crypto. Good afternoon, Dirty Diesel. Just started with Swift last Wednesday. How's it working out for you? Is it all you thought it would be? And the reason I ask, a lot of guys are saying they're sitting right now. That's why we did that video earlier in the week about how to get more loads, things like that. I'll say this too, not talking about Swift specifically, but just trucking companies in general. If you go, say, 6 months where you're saying you don't have freight, maybe it's time to start booking some loads off some load boards. And I'm talking to the planners and to the operations people at these large companies. Um, I realize it cuts into your margins a little bit, but you got to take care of your drivers or you're going to start having people switching companies and things like that. So maybe this is the time while freight's slow that you relocate trailers to parts of the country where you need trailers. Or maybe this is the time where you consider booking a broker load or things like that. In sales, you guys know I sold cars for a while before I drove a truck. I even managed a car lot for a while. And they never accepted the excuse that, oh, it's slow. You know, salesmen didn't sit around and say, oh, it's slow, there's no customers. We got out, put balloons on the cars, opened the hoods, got on Facebook. We would even pull old applications out of the filing cabinets and call customers and see if maybe something had changed in their life where now they wanted a car or something like that. So you shouldn't just accept that there's no loads at whatever company you're at, whatever flatbed, reefer, dry van, whatever you're doing in truck and tanker. You shouldn't just accept that, oh, there's no freight right now. And the companies shouldn't accept this. They need to find something. You're doing your job, delivering your freight, and they need to do their job and make sure there is freight. And I realize there's economic things going on from time to time, but you need to they need to be on top of that and make sure that they're fulfilling their part of the deal. Now, the first thing they're going to say is, well, nowhere in your contract did we promise you freight. And that's true. There's no guarantees in most contracts. I'm sure there's someone out there that has a contract that guarantees miles or revenue or something, but most contracts don't do that because they don't have a crystal ball and you don't have a crystal ball. But it's just this 6 or 8 months of we don't have any freight. You're in a bad area. Well, where's a good area? Well, nowhere's a good area. Well, what are you doing to fix it? That just doesn't cut it. And so hopefully things are going to turn around. The market analysts I've saw are predicting that things are going to get better really, really soon. And so I've been telling you guys, when y'all call me and you're frustrated, not just Swift people, either other people, I tell you, man, try to hang on just a little bit longer if there's any way that you can. Terry says, thanks for all your help when I was onboarding here, man. Thanks. Thanks for saying that. Let me tell you why. I've had some people, some critics online here lately saying that I don't help people after they get hired on, that I forget about them. I don't take their calls. And so I appreciate you saying that. And I hope that it'll continue. I hope you'll stay in touch. And if you have any problems, if you have any questions, call me and let's work through them. And later in the show, we'll talk about some other high profile YouTubers here at Swift and some issues they've had lately. So y'all hang around for that. I don't want to neglect all these comments here any longer, and then we'll jump into that. Brian says he got into an incident. It was not an accident. I was honest and reported them when I knew that the company wasn't going to report me, but being honest got me terminated. Can't seem to get any other. Yeah, that's really tough, especially a lot of companies will have the first 90 days you're there. And I don't know what Swift's policy is on this, but a lot of companies will have a policy that if you have any kind of incident in the first 90 days, that they cut you loose. And I think it should be a case by case basis. I've never shared this story before, but back in, oh man, probably 2004, I worked for NFI for just a short time, and I was driving down I-30 over by the Lowe's distribution center in Mount Vernon, and a car stopped in the middle of the highway, and there was tons of traffic, both lanes. There wasn't no way I could get around, and I did some fantastic driving. I locked it up, and I kind of slid between the two lanes and just barely clipped his car with my running boards. I mean, barely. And he got arrested. He had drugs in the car and everything else. He was high, and I didn't get any tickets, any citations, nothing. There's nothing on my record about it. But because I damaged the truck, I got fired from NFI for that. And they said, oh, wait, I think he said a year and you can come back. And even the vice president of NFI contacted me and he tried to override it, and it was their policy. He couldn't override it. But I offered to pay for the running board. I was like, can I just give you a couple of $100 for the running board and we go on, since there's nothing on my record or nothing? And they wouldn't let me allow me to do that. So those kind of things happen, and at least you're not hurt or injured. And it's tough right now because if you get fired for safety, it's very, very difficult to get hired somewhere else. I would say if you'll email me though, I might know some people that can help you out. I deal with a lot of trucking companies. Just shoot me an email and let's talk about it either after the show or tomorrow, and I'll help you get on somewhere else and making money again. And yeah, you're going to have to go with a smaller company that doesn't look at DAC. Let me put that comment up. There are smaller companies that don't look at DAC, and we can certainly work through that and get you on somewhere. I've got a company that I know the people real well over there, and I feel like they'd help you out even with that on there. But they're going to want the details and stuff, information I don't have. So let's me and you talk tomorrow and figure out a way we can help you. Hello, Elber. Thanks for coming. My good friend John is here. I got to meet him last week, and I'm glad you can make it in here tonight, John. I owe him a nice steak dinner next time I see him. We were both in a hurry that day, and I didn't get to talk to him as long as I would have liked to. So, if no one is familiar with DAC, it's almost like other company telling you why you was let go, telling why you were let go. Yeah, but some companies are more understanding than other companies. And like I said, um, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I feel like if I know the situation well and I call them and talk to them about you, that we can get this overlooked this one time. Now, wherever you go next, whether it's the companies I suggest or it's somewhere else, you're going to want to make sure that you do a year there because that being fired for safety reasons will haunt you for usually at least a year and sometimes longer. So you want to go somewhere and you want to stay for a while. But there's second chance companies that'll give you a chance. And my other good friend Tim wants to know how long ago was the incident, Brian? I believe he was saying it was this week. He got fired this week, so he's probably got 2 or 3 weeks before it'll show up on his DAC. The problem is if he gets hired somewhere and they find it, then they could cut him loose at that time. And I've seen that happen to guys. So um, I think it's just best to be open up front and tell companies about it in the beginning and work through it. And like I said, I'll help you out as much as I can. Yeah, I agree with Silos. Keep searching. Somebody will hire you. Try some of the smaller companies. If you don't want to try the ones I'm thinking of, try some of the smaller companies. No, I'm still at Swift and I have no plans to leave Swift. If you check back the first part of this video, I went into a detailed explanation of why, but let me just say it this way. You're never going to work anywhere, even if you have your own authority and doing your own thing, where you love 100% about everything. I, uh, I would love it if they finance the balloon payment. I would love it if they let me pay the truck off early, but I'm not going to get everything I want in any deal at any point in my life. So now that I know it's a maybe, I'm going to live my life like it's a no. And that way I'm not disappointed. And if I get a pleasant surprise at some point, then great. But I have no plans to quit. I really do like it here. And I really think it's a great company. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. And from time to time, in my effort to be honest with you guys, you may hear me complain about this or that, but it doesn't mean I'm leaving. Now, this is a great segue into the other part of it. There's a very famous big YouTuber that works here that he shares my frustration about this because we've been telling this information, hadn't been lying to anybody. We've been sharing what they told us, and which is what we do. They say, hey, the fuel surcharge is this much this week. So we report that information. They say, hey, we don't hire in these 10 or 11 states. So we report that information. If they change that information, we hope that they'll let us know about it so that we can share that information with you as well. But if they have a policy that's kind of gray or fuzzy, then all we can tell you is what they've told us. I haven't misled or lied to anybody. And you guys know I've read my contract, I believe, 5 times now. And I still don't know everything in it. It seems like I learn something every time I read it. But this is not an offense that's worth quitting over. Uh, this is a this is definitely a disappointing twist, but I'm going to keep going. Now, back to that other YouTuber. He takes it differently, and he's really, really upset about it. And it would not surprise me, and I don't have any inside knowledge, but just what I've seen in his community post and things like that. It would not surprise me at all if he quit, if he were to quit in the next 2 or 3 weeks. He's struggled with a lot of breakdowns, and and things like that. And you know, he's everybody's got to do what's best for their business. And even you guys, when you call me, I tell you, hey, hang in there a little longer if you can. But if you need to go, I understand. One of the worst financial decisions I ever made was staying at a company too long and getting payday loans and doing things like that to keep myself financially afloat, and then regretting it later when things never got better. So if you can hang in there 2 or 3 weeks, maybe things will get better. But if you're wondering how you're going to pay rent next month and your family is doing without, maybe it's time to do something else. And I support you guys whatever you do. If you've still got time, though, contact me. I want to try to help you guys. I really do. And if you don't trust me or you think I'm full of baloney, fine. Get with somebody that you think is doing well in trucking and find out what they're doing. I think a lot of people they have two problems. They don't know their numbers and they don't have any goals. And if you know your numbers, for example, if you know your truck costs you $1,300 a week plus fuel to operate, or $1,000 a week plus fuel to operate, then you can figure out what your revenue goals need to be each week, and you can run your business accordingly. It doesn't it doesn't matter how much you gross, it matters what you net. And really, what you net only matters by what you need to be happy. Uh, as I've told you, I know guys making $600 a week that are just as happy as they can be. And I know guys making 2,500 a week that aren't satisfied. So, you guys, we need to help each other. And I've seen a lot of divisive things said this week and things like that, but we can get through this. This is a setback, and I am disappointed that Swift has not addressed this yet. Nobody's contacted me or tried to work this out, but this isn't something that rises to the level of quitting. And I'll even go so far as to say, if you work at any company long enough, they're going to do things that disappoint you. And this probably isn't the first or the last time that Swift will disappoint me. But it's still a great place to work, and there's still a lot of opportunity here. And I still recommend them, but I'm not going to be telling people that their balloon can be financed, and I'm not going to be telling people they can pay their truck off early. And now I know the brands that can be rolled over into an MRP and the ones that can't. Again, this is stuff that's not in the contract. So these are policies, not contractual issues. And so, it's like Schneider has a steel toe boot policy. That's not something that's going to be in the contract. That's something that's going to be in the handbook. And so I hope I've cleared that up for a lot of people, but we can sure talk about it some more if y'all have got more questions about it. Thanks, Asphalt. I appreciate that. Let me scroll down a little more and we'll get. Oh, I scrolled too far. For those that don't know, I got a new laptop this week and I'm still learning how to use it. It's flawless, but I'm obviously a flawed man learning how to use it. Better to get your DOT number to have it later on if needed, because broker looks how long you've had it. Yeah, that's exactly right, Jack. And that's what I was saying. There's some other options though. There's some companies that let you run the load boards at 88%, and to me, I'll gladly give 12% for the factoring and for not having the headaches that having your own authority causes. But that's it's to each their own. It depends how deep you want to get in the swimming pool. Again, I'm not saying I would never get it. It's just not something that's ever really excited me. But it's you never know what the future holds. I also said I'd never work for a mega carrier and drive a freightliner, and here I am. Yeah, Michelle's great. Sometimes she can be really, really hard to get a hold of. If you have trouble getting a hold of her, email me and I'll try to help you. And look who's here. Trucking 411, formerly known as the Truckers Coach. We just talked about this situation at Swift. And if you've got anything to uh, to add, please add it in the comments and we'll put it up and talk about it. That's a nice public place. Yeah, it's not real. It's a virtual background. Um, I did that because it's more interesting to look at than just a plain white wall behind me. But yeah, it's one of the tools you can play with on StreamYard here. But I appreciate it anyway. Can't stay long. Have a nice show. Yes, I changed my mind. All right, man. Be careful out there. Do you uh, do you have any updates on your truck? Did they get anything accomplished on it today, or are you rolling out? No, not really. I've tried doing what you said in the video yesterday. However, I'm in Jurupa Valley. All right, so Jurupa Valley is the exception to the rule. They kind of do their own thing out there and nobody messes with them. What I would probably do at Jurupa Valley is go into the terminal and try to get face to face with one of the Jurupa Valley planners. They do pull a lot of freight out of that Walmart right beside the terminal there, and they may can get you something out of there. But for right now, I'm staying out of California because it just seems like freight's really slow out there. I'm trying to run the Midwest, but if you guys hear of good or bad areas, please share it on here, and it'll help all of us. Swift flatbed is wide open right now. It's probably the best I've ever seen. So there you go. If you guys have any flatbed experience, you might see about moving over to the flatbed division. I would probably do it if I was in my mid 20s and young and healthy like I used to be. I'd probably run flatbed right now. But now I'm too old and clumsy. I'd fall off the trailer and hurt myself. Tim, it happened all in my 6 months with the company. That is correct. Not only did I not change jobs, I'll let you guys know I haven't even applied anywhere. Now, there are conversations that take place all the time. There's a company locally that offered me a job using that Volvo I bought to pull milk to East Texas, and I turned that down. I really am happy going cross country, meeting you guys, and doing what we're doing right now. But I have not formally put in an application anywhere, and I don't have any plans to quit Swift right now or in the near future. Now, could something change? Absolutely. As I've said a million times, there could be a war that breaks out somewhere in the world tonight, and freight rates could double overnight. And then, yeah, I'm going to want to run a percentage contract on the spot market. I mean, something could always happen. But in the current climate, the current market climate, I want to keep doing what I'm doing for as long as I can. I've met a lot of great people here at Swift, and I really like it here. That doesn't mean I don't ever get frustrated with them, and that doesn't mean they don't ever get frustrated with me. I will guarantee you they didn't like that video I did the other day, but nobody's ever called me about it or nothing. They accept that I'm an adult with a opinion that's going to vary from theirs from time to time, and they're okay with that. But I know a lot of people. I saw videos on YouTube where people are saying, "Oh, Trucker Todd quit Swift." I have not quit Swift, and nothing could be farther from the truth. And I'm not going to quit Swift. If they say we're not changing nothing, Todd, okay, I'm just going to adjust my strategy to work under those conditions because I do like it here and there is a lot of opportunity here. Let's see who's next. My friend Tim says, yeah, that's too bad, but most companies don't allow more than 2 to 3 accidents in your first year. Just keep looking and someone will hire you. Yeah, when you get up around that level, they're probably going to want you to do some more training, something like that. You might even have to go to work for a construction company or something. I mean, there's people that go their whole driving career and don't have 2 to 3 incidents. So I'm with you though. I've said in videos, my first 2 years on the road, I wouldn't have rode with me. And it's like at some point something clicked and I started getting pretty good. And now I think I'm a decent driver, but I definitely wasn't a prodigy straight out of truck driving school for sure. Hey, Manny, thanks for coming in tonight. My friend Chris, I was out 7 days last week, cleared 1450. I'm not leaving over 1 week, but it better not become a habit. Absolutely. Yeah. Anybody that tells you they never have a bad week is an outright liar. Um, when we say average, remember, we're talking bottom of the top, top of the bottom. It's the middle. You're going to have weeks that are better and weeks that's going to be worse. Chris has shared with me some of his income, and I can tell you that's a very unusual and a very low week for Chris. And he's a smart cookie. He does well out here. So I have no doubt that he will bounce back quickly and have another great week real soon. I don't have a single doubt about Chris. Tim, if I had reported to Swift, nothing would have been done. But my honesty hurt me. Maybe. The deal is, though, you never know. They may have found out about it another way. And I don't like living having to look over my shoulder and wondering if today's the day they find out I lied about something. And so if it was me, I would have reported it. I've told my OOC, which is like a fleet manager, if I ever do something wrong, you don't have to worry about catching me. I'll call you and tell you I did it, because a lot of times the punishment's a lot less if you fess up than if you try to hide it. Now, could they fire me? Absolutely. Or I guess when you're an independent contractor, it'd be they disqualify you and break your contract. However, I've got so many companies calling me, I would find something else. Now, would I make as much as I make at Swift? Probably not, but there's more to life than just money. But for now, the plan's to stay here as long as I can. I I swear to you, I'm not out applying anywhere. I'm not looking for other jobs. I've spent most of this week focusing on getting that Volvo to Texas. This morning, I was at the tag office, finding out how to do a title transfer and things like that. And so that's what I've been working on. And then my wife had a doctor's appointment today. Everything went good for those that was curious about that. And so that's what my focus has been this week. I had my blood drawn on Monday, and then I've got an appointment that was scheduled for Friday. I moved it to next Monday so that I could go get that truck in Illinois, because I need to get up there on Friday so that I can get to the tag office and get a temporary registration for Illinois. Terry says, no problem, and will do. Thanks, man. Let's see what else we got here. Thank you guys for being so active in the comments. We're up to 62 tonight, so we're having a great night. I'd wondered, the other guys are on tonight too, and I'd wondered how many we'd have. But I appreciate everybody being here. If anybody's got any questions about my status with Swift or my thoughts on that whole debacle, please put them up. I'm going to speak openly and freely about it. A guy offered me 50 cents a mile with 32 years experience. Yeah, that's funny. When I started driving in 1996, I was getting 20 cents a mile, and now I don't think I would drive as a company driver for probably less than 75 cents a mile. But you never know. I keep going back to. Seems like every time I say I won't do this or I won't do that, situations change, and I find myself doing those things. But 50 cents a mile seems a little low for sure. Yeah, but there are cameras everywhere, so it's better to be honest. And I would let future companies know you were honest and reported it yourself. It may help. Yeah, I agree with Tim. That's great advice. That's super advice. Let them know you fessed up, and plus, it just you don't want to live with that all the time, wondering if today's the day they find out. And it'll be when you trust me, it'll be when you're 1,800 miles from home that they find out, and they're like, "Park the truck, you're fired." And since you lied to us, we're not helping you get home. And it'll be on the week that you helped out some family member and your funds are kind of low and you're scraping to try to find money to get home. Just be honest and do the right thing. And in the end, it'll work out for the best. And like I said, I'll help you. Shoot me an email. It's in the ticker. And I'll go to work for you tomorrow and I'll find a company that'll take a chance on you. I'd try a local company that is small, maybe dirt, rock, sand, asphalt, etc. Yeah, asphalt has a, like I was saying, check with your local construction companies. Now you're going to take a pay cut. Now, I know around here in Lubbock, you're probably looking at 10 or 12 bucks an hour, but that way you can still have some driving experience. And in 6 months or a year, that being fired for safety is going to be a lot less pressing. Let's see who else we got here. Unfortunately, it's out of the company's hands. Yeah, exactly. Insurance companies and lawyers have made it the mess that we have in trucking right now. I like this. Go truck yourself. What's up? Not much, man. We had a guest scheduled for tonight and I canceled him because there was a lot going on. We wouldn't have been able to interview him. People would have been asking me if I'm quitting Swift, if I'm mad at Swift, if Swift's threatened to fire me. And I figured the best thing to do is just tackle this head on and answer all of your questions. All right, here you go. Uh, Brian Walton, somebody suggested Big M Transportation out of Blue Mountain, Mississippi. Google them and check them out and see how they work for you. Trucker Zoe said Big M will understand. And actually, uh, you guys help me get some of these companies on here. Let's talk to them. Big M sounds like they might be a good one to interview and find out what they have to offer. And they might be a company for some of you guys that need a second chance. So, uh, Trucker Zoe, if you've got any connections over there at Big M, have them reach out to me. Give them my email. Tell them to email me, and let's see if we can get them on the show. Now, next Tuesday, we're going to have Trucker CFO on, and we're going to talk about taxes and things like that. But the Tuesdays after that, we'll try to bring them in and talk to them. I was supposed to go to Greer in March, and I'm not sure how that's going to work. But I'm trying to get everybody scheduled in. It might not be the best time for me to go and do that right now. Best way to get freight is call the area planner when you're empty. Keep your OOC out of it. It seems that when dispatch is involved, you sit waiting for a load. I just said, yeah, that's very true. So, like I was telling him in Jurupa Valley, walk in and talk to those planners directly. They control that area, and nobody likes to mess with them. So, I mean, as far as to step on their toes or nothing. So, you have to go in there and get freight directly from them. Ryan also says one I called the planner and had a load in 10 minutes. Yeah, they're usually pretty quick. Wow, it showed up immediately on your DAC. That's timing because I think it works like the credit bureaus and they report once a month. So you must have made the deadline, but I think you can still find something. Try a smaller company, or like I said, email me or check out Big M or something like that. But I think we all want to see you hit the ground running. So I think we're all here for you and try to help you out as best we can. You may have answered this, but did you buy this cash truck to be more profitable? Is it hard with your truck payment now? Oh, that's actually a really good question. No, I did not buy it for that reason. I bought it because I got it really, really, really cheap. And so I'm doing real good here. I average about 2,500 a week take home. But I bought that truck. If it comes back in pretty good shape, I might run it, but I could definitely sell it in West Texas for a profit. And so it was just a good opportunity. And so that's why I bought it. It'll give us some videos. I was interested in it because it doesn't have a DEF system on it. And so it doesn't have all that emission stuff on it. And so I was just really, really interested in it. And it's not perfect cosmetically, but it runs good and it's had a lot of work done on it. And so I'll bring it back that 1,200-mile trip. We'll see how it does. And I may keep it. And at some point, I may lease it to Swift, or I may sell it, or I may trade it in and buy me something else. You know, especially if something were to happen and I got to the end of this lease and didn't have enough for the balloon payment, then I might, turn in the truck at the end of the lease and lease this one on to them. But a lot of people took it to mean that if I got this truck, I had to quit Swift. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. The guy that I bought the truck from was coming to Swift, and he ended up doing a lease purchase because his wife couldn't drive the 10 speed. And then that truck broke and he quit. So he wanted to go back to being a company driver, and he's a fan of the show. And matter of fact, he's one of my moderators. He's not here tonight because they work on Tuesday nights, but he sold me the truck for really, really cheap. And at some point, I'll tell you all the price. I'm kind of waiting to see if I'm going to keep it or sell it. If I'm going to sell it, I obviously don't want to announce the price on here because then everybody will try to lowball me on it. So, but I believe that I can make 4 to 5 times what I paid for it if I choose to sell it, just for driving it 1,200 miles back to Texas. Smaller companies go with hire right for work driving records. Yeah, yeah. And even a lot of them has started using Intella app and Driver Pulse and all that. So, um, but if he lived in Lubbock, I know a company that hire him right now. So it's just, and that other company I'm thinking of, I believe they're in Alabama, but I could make a call over there, and they've stretched for me before and hired people that were had issues like this. So I have no doubt we can get him working somewhere between all of us within a week or so. And for my critics out there, incidentally, this is one of those times where, you guys think I'm out for a referral bonus. I won't make nothing off of this. It's just doing the right thing and helping somebody out. This is his way out. He's almost up to his 90 days. Oh yeah, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I know who we're talking about here. He's had a rough go of it. His truck's broke down a lot, and so it may be it. I don't want to guess somebody's motives or something, but it may be. We'll see. But I do believe he's going to quit in the coming weeks. The community posts and things I've seen, he was really frustrated. And so all I'm saying is I don't have any firsthand knowledge, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if he did quit. And I would, to a degree, I would understand. To me, it doesn't rise to the level of being bad enough to quit. It's just a little frustrating and disappointing. But any company you work for, every company I've worked for in my life, even non-trucking related, had something I didn't like or that disappointed me. And if I went out and got my own authority tomorrow, there would still be disappointments that would come up. It's just life and dealing with other people. And you just got to figure out what you can accept and what you can deal with. Well, of course, he'll quit and go to another company and recruit people. Yeah, he's an experienced driver, and so I'm sure that companies are lining up to hire him. Um, he brings a lot of publicity to a company, and so I'm sure that there's a lot of companies that want their name in the spotlight, and somebody will hire him. He's lasted here for a while longer than he did at a lot of companies, so that kind of tells you that this is better than a lot of companies out there. But this is just a weird circumstance, and everybody has trigger points, and you never know what's going to trigger one person and not trigger another person. Like I said, it's very, very obvious from his community posts that he's upset. And I'm upset, but I'm not upset to the point I would quit over it. I'm going to keep doing what I do, and that's run this truck and make money, and work with you guys as much as possible to help you do the same. Hey, friend, thanks for being here. That big YouTuber is lazy and doesn't want to drive the truck. Tim says hi to Fran. Sustained RE. I think she meant second. I think she was agreeing with RE. Saying hi to Tim. I'm going to scroll down a little more. I'm still learning this new laptop. You guys bear with me. The last few weeks I've been having to do it through 2 cell phones, and been a nightmare. Okay, Brian, I'm going to look and make sure I have your number. And if I do, I'll give you a call tomorrow. We're going to figure something out for you for sure. Let's see. I'm also using a different headset tonight than I normally do. I don't see you in my contacts, Brian. I may have you in my email, though. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea for you to email me your number or text it to me if you've still got my number. And I definitely want to talk to you, though. And I may have it in my email. If you've emailed me, I've got it. I just had to go back and find it. I wear steel-toed non-slip shoes. It's just safe to have that on with all the oil and stuff we deal with. Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea. I'm diabetic, and they say it's not good to wear steel-toed shoes if you're diabetic, that it's hard on your toes. But yeah, that's good for you. You definitely, I think we can all agree, you don't want to be wearing flip-flops at the truck stop. I've seen people do that. These big potholes out there in dark areas, you're just begging to scrape your toe and get who knows what kind of infection in these parking lots. So you definitely want to wear a closed shoe, and steel toe's great if you can wear that. Okay, Makeup says he just got in here. Did go to another company? Nope, I'm still at Swift. I hadn't even applied anywhere else. I never even considered going to another company. Um, I'm definitely frustrated with the way things have been, and so but it doesn't rise to the level of something I'd quit over. Now, a company cheating me out of 50 or $100, I'll quit over that. And I know that sounds petty to you guys, but once a company starts stealing from you, it just the amounts continue and continue to grow. So I'll quit over money, but these are policy changes. This isn't something they screwed me on in the contract. This isn't something like that. So they can change rules and policies, and uh, fortunately, we live in a free country. I can choose to accept those rules and policies, or I can choose to go somewhere else. And right now, the good outweighs the bad. I like the people here. I like what I'm doing. And so I don't have any plans currently to quit. And I know I confused a lot of people by buying that other truck, but it was just an opportunity to get a really good deal on a truck. And I took advantage of it. Some other big YouTubers, I do believe, might quit over this. I don't have any firsthand knowledge, but they seem really upset in their community post, and they've had a lot of frustrating things happen with their trucks and stuff. And so I wouldn't be a bit surprised if some of them quit. And there's no hard feelings. I'm not going to come on here and talk crap about them after they leave or nothing like that. Each of us has got to do what's best for our business and for our families. And I shared earlier in this video, one of the worst things I did financially was staying at a company too long. And I was having to get payday loans and stuff like that just to pay my bills. And it took me forever to dig out of that when I finally did get to a good company. So, for those of you that are frustrated at Swift, I'm going to ask you to give it a few more weeks and see if it gets better. But I'm not going to ask you to do without. If you're having trouble paying your rent, or if your family's going hungry, make a change and take care of them, because your family's a lot more important than these trucks are. Yeah, I did address it earlier. We go long like this, we're going to have some people. I don't mind rehashing it quickly, but I want to keep it moving so that those of you that have stuck with me are getting new information. The J is silent. I'm not sure what that's referring to. He is still with Swift, though, to answer your question. There's my friend. I say friend. We hadn't met or talked. We watch each other's videos. Cash is King Trucking is here, and he would have liked something I was talking about earlier. The picture's looking choppy. I hope you guys can see me okay. Um, about setting goals and things like that. You guys, once you learn your numbers, then you can set revenue goals to reach the numbers you need to reach to pay your bills. Sometimes we get so focused on just running miles. Oh, I got to have miles, that we don't know our numbers or what we need to be successful. I've shared it takes about 1,000 miles a week for me to break even. That's counting diesel and everything. Actually, I could probably do it a little less than that, but I just know that the first 1,000 miles I run is out the door. And so if I go home for a week, I know I've got to run at least 1,000 miles so I won't be in the hole. And those are the kind of things, I know if I run 2,500 miles a week, about what my check will be. If I run 3,000 miles, about what my check will be. And that's the point you need to get to. Tim says hello to Cash is King. And Fran says hello to Cash is King. A bunch of his fans are here. Trucker Zoe trying to get to the Midwest. However, he got a truck in Phoenix, and this is where they sent me. Yeah, getting out of Phoenix, it seems like most of their loads go to like Southern California. And I really hope you guys can still hear me okay. I'm going to bring it up on my other phone and make sure that, tell me if you can still hear me. But if you can get out of that area and get out east, I think you'll be better off. They like to ping pong you back and forth between California and Phoenix. And so just be careful. Yeah, Southeast is dead right now, and it's been dead for 3 or 4 weeks. Stay out of the Southeast, stay off the West Coast, try to run the Midwest and stuff until things pick back up. And again, the market reports I'm seeing, they're saying in the next 2 or 3 weeks that they expect things to get a lot better. And so hopefully it will. Don't come to Phoenix right now. I've active since Monday morning, got load that doesn't pick up till tomorrow morning. Yeah, I was wanting to go to Phoenix and interview some of the different departments like flatbed and reefer and stuff like that, meet with the social media department, the safety department, things like that. But right now, it's just not good to go there. You're going to get stuck, and I don't want to sit out there for a week bouncing back and forth between California and Phoenix. But at some point, I will go out there. Hopefully, freight will pick up soon, and then I can share those videos with you guys. I love my couch too. I don't get to see it very often, but I love it. At the end of the day, we shouldn't have to beg and jump through hoops to get a load. Yeah, oh yeah, I agree. I agree, and that's what I covered earlier in the video for you. Those of you that missed it, go back and check it out. But if you're at any company, and we're not even talking about Swift now, if you're at any company and for 6 or 8 months they've been telling you we don't have freight, things are slow, the question you need to ask them is, what are you doing about it? Because there's things they can do. They can get on the spot market and they can pull a load out and get you moving. Now, they don't want to do that because it cuts into their margins and it doesn't pay as much as contract freight. But at some point, you've got to quit just acknowledging there's a problem and do something about the problem, or you're going to lose a lot of drivers. And so I've been really fortunate. Before I came home, I had a 3,000 mile week. And but I've had some bad weeks too. And everybody's going to have bad weeks occasionally. But if it starts to be a regular deal, you've got to start asking them, what are you going to do about it? What are you doing to try to fix this problem? Because we can all sit in a circle and cry and talk about how bad times are. But these companies, it's their job to find the freight and they need to find the freight. Thought that was your house for a second. I was about ready to go to Swift. Yeah, I wish this was my house. This is a virtual background. It's not real, and it's just a boring wall behind me. And if you guys want to see it, I can pull it up. But this picture's a lot more interesting to look at. It StreamYard comes with two of them. I've got this one and one that looks like a brick wall, and then I can upload some more, and I may do that now that I finally got a laptop that's working better. And Manny wants to know if the reefers are still busy at Swift. Somebody in the reefer division, if you could answer that, we'll put it up on screen. I'm in the dry van division, so I'm not a expert on it. Fran says she wouldn't say it's begging for a load. She calls it skilled negotiating for a load. Yeah, I think, and I covered this in that video I did earlier in the week. I think it's the nail that sticks up the highest gets hit first. So if you're calling in and staying on them about getting a load, again, being respectful and not rude or a jerk, they're going to remember you. Also, going in there and meeting with them face to face when you're at a terminal. It's not a bad idea, especially that guy that's in Jurupa Valley. Walk in there, get face to face with a planner, ask about local work. We all hate local work, but maybe if you do that, then when they have something come in, they'll remember you and they'll put something on you. LOL, friend. The coach is back. People got me with one foot out the door. Um, yeah, again, I don't have any inside knowledge. Coach hasn't told me nothing behind the scenes, but he put out some community posts where he was pretty frustrated, and he's had some issues with his truck lately. And so all I'm saying is it wouldn't surprise me if he left. He's an experienced driver. He's got tons of experience. He's a well-known driver, and I bet he gets. I know how many offers I get. I bet he gets even more offers being a larger channel. And I wouldn't blame him if he started looking to see if the grass was greener on the other side of the fence. But I hope he stays here, and we'll see. That's just my prediction. But it's again, it's nothing against him, and I don't have any idea what his plans are. That's just that one community post that he put where he said he got a good call yesterday made me think maybe he's entertaining offers, but you never know. Uh, Maybe Geico called him and saved him 15% on his car insurance or something. I don't know. Todd, you're the man, bro. Thank you for your insight and honesty. You're welcome. Thank you for being here and watching me. Here's another good friend. Joe Wentz, good evening, my friend. Glad you made it home safely. Yeah. I had to deadhead 800 miles to get home, and I was a little frustrated about that too. When you work for the largest trucking company in the country, you don't expect to have to deadhead that far, but we're living in strange times right now. Uh, and so I don't know. I don't know why it worked out that way this time. I do live in a weird area, but yeah, that was something I did, and I'm fine with it. I was going to be home for those doctor's appointments no matter what. Welcome back, Joe. And he says he's been here over 90 days. Why from Illinois? That's where the guy lived that had the truck for sale. And that's so since it's titled in Illinois, the information I've received so far, that's what they said I needed to do. Texas said they could do it, but they didn't know if all the states between Illinois and Texas would honor the registration or not. Illinois seemed to feel like all the states would honor it. So I'm in a little bit of uncharted territory here. I've done as much research as I can, and it's still a gray area on a lot of this. It'd be easy if I had a DOT number, or if I already owned the truck, I could get what's called a hunter's permit, and that's like a temporary permit for when you quit a company and you're driving the truck to the next company you're going to work for. But since I'm not leasing it on anywhere right now, I don't qualify for a hunter's permit. And I've already got the insurance part worked out and all of that. I've just got to get it registered. And Illinois is only giving me like a 5-day registration, which it's a 2-day drive from Illinois to Texas. If you have an accident go fire, you can take a quick refresher course, get you back in good company a lot quicker. Yeah, you probably are going to have to take a refresher course. That's probably for sure. Let's see who else we got here. I had the planners calling me when they seen I was sitting still, so I'm not that bad of a driver. Yeah, yeah, and I don't think you're a bad driver. I think you had some unfortunate circumstances that took place, and but the past is the past now. We just need to get you somewhere and get you rolling again. And like I said, as long as I've got your email, I'm going to give you a call tomorrow. And if I don't, then reach out to me. But if you don't hear from me by like 3 o'clock tomorrow, reach out to me and I'll get in contact with you and we'll figure something out. I just want to get a little more details and what you're looking for and things like that. Thanks, Buttermilk. Tim says, we appreciate everyone coming in and watching the show, but please keep the comments respectful. No need to put down. Yeah, exactly. And the moderators that are here, if y'all see something like that, either time them out or hide them. I don't mind if people disagree, but it's okay to disagree with me. But let's try to keep it, try to keep the punches above the belt. Let's not do any low blows or cheap shots, or especially when people aren't here to defend themselves. Big up, big thumbs up, folks. Please hit it. Yeah, please do. Give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, subscribe so that you get notifications when this stuff comes out. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, Ryan agrees. Yeah, KLLM. I've heard mixed reviews about them. They also own FFE, from what I understand. But you may have to go to companies you normally wouldn't have considered before. But there are companies that'll work with you for sure. Exactly. Exactly. We need to unite. That's what I'm trying to do here. Let's all try to help each other. One thing I've seen tonight that I've really liked is when that guy said he lost his job, everybody's offering suggestions, trying to help him. That's what I like to see here, is everybody trying to help everybody. And if you don't want to get your answers from me, that's fine. But there's a wealth of knowledge here in the comments. Uh, Throw your question up, and if you don't like my answer, maybe somebody in the comments can say something that will help you out. Brian is doing well. Enjoy your vlogs. I'm interested in Swift MRP, but if not, we'll go as company driver because they have a terminal in Syracuse, New York, 50 miles from me. If you live in New York State, you will probably have to go company driver. I believe New York State is one of the states they don't allow lease purchase in. You definitely want to check with the recruiter, but I bet you're going to have to be a company driver in New York State. But again, check with the recruiter about that for sure. And if you need a company driver recruiter, let me know and I can get you hooked up with somebody. Just shoot me an email. It's in that ticker below. I was involved in a horrible accident that was 100% my fault, and I got fired for being honest and calling safety, and they fired me for safety, and nobody would have picked me up. But oh man, uh, well, I'm glad you're okay. A horrible accident. That's to me that's more important than any job. I'm glad Big M took you, but I'm more glad that you survived it, and hopefully the injuries weren't too bad. Wow, they've got a quick turnaround too. He said he was fired on Wednesday, and by Monday he was in orientation for Big M. So there you go. That might be one to look at if you're needing to get back to work really, really quick. Um, sure, but definitely call them and tell them the truth and see what they say. Exactly. There's always somebody willing to take you. Don't give up. Just call Big M and ask for Jacob Ralph and tell him Lorenzo Graham referred him. I don't get anything. I just want to help it all. Well, there you go. I'll leave that comment up for a minute, or you can pause the video and write down that name and everything, and um, tell him Lorenzo sent you. Help him out too. He says he doesn't get a referral bonus, but he may get a attaboy or whatever. Let's see who else we got here. No, I don't think so. I think he said that he was pretty new, but I'm not 100% sure about that. He's got to have some experience because he came on and did the lease. So he's got to have at least 9 months. And I want to say he had like a couple of years, but I'm not real sure. And I don't know if he wants to share that information or not. Maybe not, but he's bigger than I am. Yeah, yeah. It's definitely, I haven't broke down that much, but I'm in a lot newer truck. I'm in a 2022 Freightliner. 3 years from now, who knows? Or if I start driving that Volvo that I bought in Illinois all the time, I'm certain it's going to break down more. So I don't know. It's one of those deals. Oh man, the light went out. Let me see if I can get it back on. Hang on. It's motion detected. Oh crap. And the laptop unplugged too. Hang on a second. This is not the ideal circumstances. All right, let's jump into some more comments. Okay, my email's in the ticker. It's truckertodd806 at gmail.com. But I'm pretty sure I can find you in my email. Yeah, I did that for a while. It seems like the elastic wears out and they get loose on your feet, but they are comfortable and quick to slip on and off. Yeah, exactly. It's in the show description. And a lot of people, I've been surprised how many people don't know how to check the show description, especially on the recorded videos. I get a lot of questions that are in the show description, but people don't know how to check them. We'll skip through those. How did oh there's some banter in the comments. You guys can check that out. I'm not going to put it up on screen. Yeah, I went through a couple of year span where I went through a few companies, and the problem was that I was picking companies in desperation. I wasn't doing my research. Just the first company that said they'd take me, I'd run off and go there, and it'd be a terrible company. And I mentioned I stayed at one company too long, and I got myself in a real financial pickle. And so then, out of desperation, I just started going to the first company that said yes. And I finally got just a little bit of success at one, and then I could start being more picky. And I got back in good companies. And so now my work history looks a lot better. I'm staying at companies a lot longer because um, I can afford to be more picky now financially. I really enjoy your videos, the breakdown of money you make for everyone to see. Yeah, I used to do it a lot more often, and I've quit because honestly, it's a long process for me to do an income video now because I want to make sure I'm sharing everything, I'm not hiding anything. And I get my fuel from several different sources. Sometimes I use the Swift fuel card. Most of the time, I use the Yes Advantage card, which it's in the description below too, the link to get that card. And I use Mudflap, and so I use an app called Fuelbook also. And so I got a pull from a lot of sources to get you that information. And then my insurance, I pay it monthly to OIDA instead of having Swift's insurance. So I have to break that down into a weekly figure and subtract that. And I just, it's more work than it's worth. Then when I put the video out, half of the viewers say, "Oh, you're bragging," and the other half say, "Oh, well, that's it. I make more than you." And it doesn't have the effect that I hoped it would. So when I started doing it, I thought, well, people will see this and it'll motivate them. It'll make them want to work harder, and they'll go, well, Todd's making 2,500 a week. I'm making 1,800 a week. But if I tweak a few things, I can make what Trucker Todd makes. And it didn't have that effect at all. And so that's why I rarely do an income video anymore. It's not that I got anything to hide or that my income's gone down. It's just that I'm so afraid that I'll put out bad information or misleading information, and I don't want to do that. Sorry, I'm about 20 minutes behind on the comments here. Ryan says he can hear me. That's good. And let's see who else we got here. Yeah, you're choppy at times. We can see and hear you. That's great. I had to come to public Wi-Fi, and I'm actually in a public area right now and using public Wi-Fi. My internet at the house just went to super slow. And so I ran down here last minute. We got home late from my wife's doctor's appointment, and I was scrambling to get this show together as quick as I did. And so everything's not as polished and perfect tonight as I'd hoped it would be. But I'm sure at some points we're going to experience some lag and choppiness, and I apologize for that. That's one of the struggles of doing this as a truck driver. I'm going to have differing internet levels across the country, and some videos are going to come out better than others. And but I'm constantly looking for the next way to improve things for you guys, and spend quite a bit of money currently doing it. Phoenix has been like that forever. If you don't live there, it's best to stay away from there, or make sure you got a load out before you even commit to a load to go there. Yeah, and that's where the load board comes in handy. By the way, I forgot to do a load board update today. There's not one. They were supposed to start the meetings on Tuesday, and they didn't. They said they're having it tomorrow. So in the Thursday show, we'll give you a load board update. But and also, I can't give you firsthand knowledge this week because I'm at the house taking care of all this stuff. And so anyway, need to get Cash on the show. I think that would be a great show. I've asked Cash in here publicly, and I haven't got a yes or a no. I would encourage you guys to ask Cash because he's going to be more influenced by viewers of his channel. If you watch Cash or you're a subscriber of Cash, just shoot him a message in the comments and tell him you'd like him to come on my Tuesday show. And I'd love to have him on there. Um, his show and my show, we kind of take a different approach to trucking as far as he shows a lot of trucks for sale. He shows how much he's doing reefer, but he does it very entertainingly, if that's a word. And I think he'd be great to have on too. Any other YouTubers that y'all are big fans of, have them reach out to me. I'd love to get some of them on. And you know, they didn't get popular by not having good information. And if they want to come on and share that information, that'd be great. It'd be great for my channel, and I think it'd be good for their channel too. It exposes us to people that might not normally see what we have to offer. So yeah, if you guys can get Cash on here, I'd love to do it, and we'll get him on within the next 2 or 3 weeks if he's available. Got to make around 4,000 a week to care for your expenses to bring a good net check home. Yeah, so you're talking about gross there, and again, I would say that it depends on what your fixed expenses are. I try to be in the $4,500 to $5,000 range, and that sometimes that's easier said than done. But I know how to manage my fixed expenses and keep them down, and even my variable. I can't really manage my fixed expenses, but my variable expenses. Well, I guess I can. Let me say that again. I try to manage all those expenses and keep them down. You say, well, how do you manage your fixed? I found cheaper insurance. How do you manage your variable? I found cheaper fuel using my own fuel card. So there are things you can do. I can still make a healthy check at a 4,000 a week gross, but I can make a lot healthier check with just a little more. And typically, rule of thumb, I like to take home half of what my gross is. So if I grossed 4,000 that week, I'd want to take home around 2,000. And so that's just kind of a rule of thumb. It may not be exact, it might be 1,800, but I try to be close to half of what my gross revenue is. No, I ain't doing no local stuff unless it's by my house. Yeah, I understand. Sometimes it's better to just take a 34 and build your hours back up. Are you punished when you turn down a load? Well, it depends on what your definition of punished is. I've turned down as many as 5 loads in one day before, and there wasn't any repercussions. But you're punished in the way of if that's all they've got, you may sit there until another load comes up. So if if you're turning down loads to just be spiteful, I wouldn't recommend doing that. But if there's a good reason to turn it down, then I'd understand it. For example, if it's going to an area where there's not a lot of freight out there, it might make sense to turn it down. You got to remember these companies are doing what's best for them. All they know is they've got 1,000 loads on their screen that they've got to get covered before they go home. They're not thinking about your financial situation or nothing like that. They're thinking about I got to get these loads covered so I can go home. And so you've got to look at it differently. You don't necessarily worry about if they get all their loads covered. You've got to worry about if you can make money doing what they're offering. And so I would just say turn down loads when you need to, but don't turn down loads just because you can, if that makes any sense. They got him 1 foot out the door that because that's what he does. They just calling it for what it is. Only he can prove them wrong. Yeah, possibly. We'll see in the coming weeks. Like I said, I think this is going to resolve itself pretty quick, but I'm not going anywhere. And I know a lot of people thought I was. Does Swift make you get the camera even after you got your own insurance, or did you do that on your own? So you only have to get the camera, and it's forward facing only if you get Swift's insurance. And I realize a lot of you, when you're starting out, you're going to have to get Swift's insurance. But as soon as you can afford to, I recommend getting your own insurance. And I got my own insurance. Now, I did get the Samsara because it's the least intrusive camera that Swift approved. However, I didn't give Swift any of the sign in information for that camera. The only ones that can see that footage is me and then you guys when I put it out in a video from time to time. And I did it honestly just to make videos about it so that you guys would know how it works, if it's a good option for you, because I realize everybody's not going to go out and get their own insurance, and some of you are just going to take the camera. So I did it as a public service for you guys. So I do have the Samsara camera, and I do like it, but I'm not required to have it. I could walk outside right now and yank it out of my truck, and Swift would never know either way because they don't have access to it. Now, to the guys that say, well, you need to have the camera because it protects the company in the event of an accident. That footage, if I have an accident, I can email to safety anything they want to see. Also, my deductible with my insurance gets cut in half with my current insurance if I share that footage with them. So again, I don't have to. If I did something really boneheaded and I don't want nobody to see it, then I don't have to show that footage. But if I feel there's something that exonerates me or that might be helpful to me or the insurance company or Swift, then I can easily email that footage to them. You're never punished here. You punish yourself by sitting there waiting on someone to give you something. Pick up the phone and text until you get what you want. Don't take no for an answer. Exactly. Uh, be the nail that sticks up the highest, like Fran's saying. Truck a bow. Hey, thanks for coming in. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so I went in over several times and still nothing. Where should I deadhead? I really don't know. Just asking, need to get moving. What I would do at this point, let's see, and you'll have to hurry. I would call Jerry White in Phoenix, the planner, and I would tell him that you're wanting to reposition yourself. They call it repo, but it stands for reposition yourself, and get a recommendation from him. He's my go-to guy have when I have freight issues. And Coretta's really good too, but she may be gone now because she's on Central Time. Jerry White should be there for about another 30 minutes, and he can tell you where to reposition to, or he may can pull something out of the air. He's pretty good. If you hadn't tried him, definitely try him. And I'm not going to put his number on here because there's no telling who will call him, but um, you can call the main Swift number and they can transfer you to Jerry White if you don't have his direct line number. Or you can email me and I can get it to you after the show, but it'll probably be too late to be any good for you by then. Fran likes your hashtag. Fran wants to know where you're at, Truckers O. Joe Adams is in the house saying peace. Thanks, man. Glad you're here. Oh, she thought you were at a terminal. I think he said he was in Jurupa Valley, if I'm not mistaken. I may be getting him and another one confused, but I think he said he was in Jurupa Valley. Companies are getting tighter on hiring because loads are getting slimmer. Should pick back up in March, from what I hear. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too. Here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, they're expecting a big pickup, and I think we're all ready for it. We've all suffered long enough. Some of us more than others for sure. I got over 400,000 miles on my truck and it was in the shop for 1 day, so don't understand what people are doing to these trucks. I generally agree with you. The thing I would say is some people take better care of the trucks than others. And with that Volvo I just bought, I had several people say, Todd, are you going to hire a driver and have them drive it for Swift? And I said no, because you don't know how they'll take care of the truck. A guy that is rough on a truck can bankrupt you. So they could bring my truck down and their truck down, and you're on the hook when you've got an employee. You got to pay their taxes and do all kinds of stuff. And the only way I would do it, and I do mean the only way I would do it, is if I had a relative that I really, really trusted or a best friend that I really, really trusted. But to hire some stranger to drive a truck for me, not going to happen, because we all assume that people are going to take care of stuff the way we take care of stuff, and that's seldom the case. All right, let's see. Any idea how we can use the online company store as owner ops? It always asks for a login. Yeah, you can go through the Engage app, and it has the company store there, and it should be the same login credentials as your Engage app or your portal. I don't remember which. I've been in it before and looked around, but that's how you do that. And I guess sometime I'll get on there and fiddle with it some more. I've got a bunch of, you can see a bunch of Swift stuff currently, so I'm not in need right now. I don't have any idea. He'll probably be live tomorrow night, and that'd be a better question for him. He was in here earlier, and if he comes back, you can ask him, but I don't think it's here right now. Yeah, Fran agrees it's going to be better in March, and it's like I thought. He's in Jurupa Valley. Gonna sign his lease tomorrow, nervous and happy at the same time. Well, congratulations. What terminal are you picking your truck up at, and what kind of truck did you get? Oh, okay. So most people deadhead to El Paso, but that's not all that great either. They just as bad as Arizona. That's a pretty good deadhead too. That's about what is that? About 700 miles? Maybe not quite that. I would see. I would just see what else is around there. I would definitely talk to Jerry though. Um, he's a good guy. Chris wants to congratulate R to R on his new lease. Do I need to have OTR regional experience to do the even though I'm with um, so I would encourage you to talk to Michelle about that. When she was on, she said that they want 9 months experience. However, since you're already with Swift, they might make some exceptions. I don't know. I would definitely get a hold to Michelle, and she can help you with that um, and get you some clarifications. Only need 9 months with the company. Yeah, but it has to be regional or OTR. But since she's on a dedicated account, they might count that as regional. I'd feel comfortable deferring that question to Michelle. And I may do a lot more of that since we've had these changes in policies. I really don't want to give you guys bad information. And so but yeah, that's definitely a Michelle question, and she's probably going to have to ask somebody too. But I bet they can work something out with you. What have I been told about PC for lease operators? So their policy on PC, if you're a company driver, you can go 25 miles and you have to have the company's permission to do it because they're buying the diesel. If you're lease, it's unrestricted. But if you take advantage of it, in a bad way, they can be pulled from you. So use it legally, use it correctly, and there's no restrictions. But abuse it and it'll go away. And that's their PC policy, as I understand it. Who knows? It could have changed, but as I understand it, I'm on a regional dedicated as well, and they let me stay on the same account. Yeah, yeah, a lot of times they will. And Michelle said it depends on the account, but she said most of them will let you. They just have to check on a case by case basis. But I bet you could keep doing what you're doing. And from what I understand, they have a report they can run where they can estimate what you would have made if you'd have been doing a lease, doing what you've currently done, mileage wise, and things like that. So check into that. The other thing you want to check into is the contracts for dedicated oftentimes pay less than OTR. So you want to make sure you're okay with the pay package before you sign up. Don't take it thinking you're getting OTR pay and then get a rude awakening on Friday when you get paid and see your settlement. But yeah, just check with your OOC or with Michelle and they can get you that information. Yeah, I thought she said OTR or regional. It's been a couple of weeks and there's been a lot that's happened and a lot of stuff has changed in the past few weeks. And, in March, they're supposed to be making some more changes. So when we get off in the weeds like that, I'd feel a lot better if we just send that over to Michelle and she can get you the answers you need on that. But let's keep going here. Well, see, that goes back to using PC correctly. You can't use it to forward yourself for a trip. So that's correct. You can't use it towards your destination. And really, you're supposed to be unladen, so not under a load. And so when you go into PC mode, it doesn't put a limitation on there, but you have to know how to use it correctly. And if you're using it wrong, you're just going to get yourself in trouble. And like that 8 hours or not, that 800 miles that I did headed home, I didn't use PC because I had enough hours to do it under hours. And that way I don't have to haggle about did I do it correctly or not correctly. But sometimes if I'm on a 34 and I need to go to Walmart or something, when I was in Illinois the other day looking at that truck, I uh I did PC over to Walmart and got some prescriptions and stuff like that. Bought some groceries. So know how to use PC correctly and you'll save yourself a lot of headaches. But it's going to be a rare instance where you would need to use it for a long distance. It's better to just run it under hours if you're going to go a long distance and save yourself the headache. Got some more people wanting to see Cash is King on here. We'll try to set that up on a Tuesday pretty soon. You guys go into his videos though and tell him you want to come on here. You want him on here, and we'll get him on. Yeah, it's an expensive piano. If only it was mine. I'm using a virtual background. This is not my house. This is not my piano. I'm not even in my house right now. I'm in a public area using public Wi-Fi because my internet decided to go super slow right before it was time to go on air. How can you guys survive making 2,000 to 2,500 a week, working the whole week? That's crazy. Well, I'm at home right now, but I would say, two thousand a week is 100,000 a year, and I think most people can live pretty comfortably on 100,000 a year. And if they can't, you might have to ask yourself why. But it depends. It looks like in your picture you're pulling a reefer, and reefer's going to be different than dry van, and flatbed's going to be different than reefer, and tanker's going to be different. So, I mean, there's specialized freight, and there's all kinds of things if you need to make more money. I average about 2,500 a week though, and I'm pretty happy with it. That's funny. I guess if you have no bills at home, it's possible. Well, it's possible for a lot less than that. Like I said, I personally know people that are working jobs for 10 or $15 an hour that they're making a lot less than that. It's you got to remember we're driving trucks, and 100,000 a year to drive a truck. When I started driving a truck, I was making 30,000 a year. So uh, pay's gone up, and most people I've found are pretty happy making 2,000 to 2,500 a week. But if it's not enough, or if you know someplace that's better where you're making more, please share it with the group and we'll talk about it. I don't see any benefit to putting others down. If people are happy what they're doing, then we should be happy for them. I mentioned in this video, I know guys making $600 a week driving a truck that are happy, and I don't put them down and go, oh well, I'm making 2,500. I go, well, I'm glad you found something you like. Now, if they come to me in a couple of weeks and say, Todd, I want to make more than 600 a week, then I'm going to try to help them make more. But as long as they're happy making what they're making, I don't see any positive things coming out of me putting them down or criticizing what they've decided to do. Yes, you can PC home from a terminal, but you can't PC back to a terminal or PC to a shop. But yeah, you can PC home. And now the stipulation of that is the only way you couldn't PC home is if you knew what your next load was going to be out of the house, like if they had already dispatched you on your next load, because then DOT could say you were advancing your trip. So if you go home, you're not dispatched under a load or anything, yeah, you could PC home. I doubt you'll ever see Mother Trucker on this channel. He's really big, and I've got 5,000 subscribers or thereabouts. And while I appreciate each and every one of you, to him, that's nothing. And I'm pretty sure he would feel it was beneath him to come on this channel. And we do kind of a different format stuff. He does a lot of clickbait and things like that. I'm not sure what we would talk about, but if he wants to come on, we could look at it, and he could uh, he could talk about what he wanted to talk about. We'll see. You never know what's going to happen on here for sure. That's kind of why it's fun to watch and kind of fun to do. Who told you 2 hours? That's what I would want to know. Yeah, with no advancement, exactly, because then it's a violation of personal conveyance. But I would want to know who told you the 2 hours. All right, Ryan, have a good night. Thanks, man. I'm not aware of that DOT law. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I've PC'd as much as 400 miles in a day before, and Swift's never said anything to me. Um, but I will do some more research on that, and we'll talk about it on the Thursday show. Yeah, I've never heard the 46-mile thing either, and I know that's not true because at one point at DART they had PC limited to 200 miles. So I think what some people are getting confused is company policies, and there's probably company policies which can supersede DOT. So in the DOT rules, it says that you can have a rule that's stricter than theirs, but you can't have a rule that's less than theirs. And I'm 99% sure there's nothing in the DOT regulations that puts any limits on personal conveyance as far as how far you can go. But a lot of companies do put limits on it. Well, in Texas, we have two different state troopers here. The blue patch ones are DOT certified, and the red patch ones are not DOT certified. So um, if you had one that was red patch that told you that, he could be mistaken. But I'll tell you what, whether that rather than us having a debate here, if somebody can send me a copy of the DOT regulation that says it, what the limit is on personal conveyance, then I'll publish it in a video and I'll show everybody. But I don't think you're going to find that. Fran says, get those thumbs up. 60 people in here. The button's free. Yeah, the button's free. Y'all, please help me out. We've done good tonight. We've rode above 60 of most of the night. And usually by within 24 hours, we're up at the 5 to 600 range. So I appreciate everybody being here tonight. And we're almost at the 2 hour mark. We'll keep going as long as the chat's active. But when you guys get done, we'll wrap it up. We've already had some fall off because they had to go to bed. Chris, that is correct about PC. Problem is DOT don't know their own rules. Yeah, exactly. It there's not a 46-mile rule, and I think the world of Tim. He's a really smart guy, but he's mistaken on that. I'm not aware of a rule that says 46 miles, and like I say, if he can find one, then I'll make a video and admit the errors of my ways. As for Swift, they don't restrict it. I drove 400 miles on personal conveyance, took a 10-hour break, and drove another 400 miles on personal conveyance once before. And nobody ever said nothing to me. So I'm not aware of that. Exactly. Deleting evidence can definitely be a felony. I got a OATA quote today, and it's $100 cheaper a month than Swift insurance. Yeah, exactly. Do that. And I want to clarify that too, because I didn't say it earlier in the video. I think every single one of you should have a camera. I just don't think the company should control it. So, like what Chris is going to do, he's going to get the OIDA insurance with Linda Young. I'm sure he told her he wanted what Trucker Todd had. I'm not getting paid a commission on that. It's just me trying to make sure you get what you need, so Swift will approve your insurance and you won't end up paying for stuff you don't need. And he's going to run his Garmin. That's fine. He's got a camera if there's an accident, but that's uh, that's what I would do. That. Whose number are you? Oh, I can't put Jerry's number on here. He'll get calls. You can call the main Swift number. It's 800-800-2200, and just tell them you want to talk to Jerry. I guess I tell you what I could do. I could give you the planner's number. Try this number. Oh, I got to do it on this other phone. No, I better not do that on here. Uh, if one of you wants to put it in the comments, you can. I'm not going to put it on here, but you want to call Jerry White, and he's really, really good at getting you out of there. So the thing I'll say about that's going to be a better question for next Tuesday when we have Trucker CFO on here. I don't give tax advice because it can get me in legal trouble. They put out a PDF recently, and it's on their website. It's free. Go to truckercfo.com and you can read that PDF. They recommend 20 to 30%. And I run from taxes other than just having him on and letting him discuss it, because each of your situation's different. Each of your income's different. Your deductions are different. Even your business classifications are different. And I'm not a CPA. I'm not licensed to talk about taxes. So I put those questions off on Trucker CFO, and we have him come on the last Tuesday of every month to answer those questions. But in that PDF, he recommended 20 to 30%. And you can adjust that number based on your individual situation. Fran said, right on, Chris. I've been with Swift since the first. Loads was good at the first, but slowing down. My truck keeps making me look like an ass going from Volvo to Kenworth. Yeah, I hate those things on the front bumper, and people want to know why I bought that old truck. It's for reasons like that. It'll misread and think you're hitting the white line, and it silences your radio, and it always does it while your favorite song's playing. And you go under an overpass, and it'll slam on the brakes, and sometimes it does the gradual slowdown, so you'll get behind somebody, and it'll just gradually slow you down to a crawl. And I'm not a fan of these new technologies on cars or trucks. Laredo MRP lease. Ah, okay. You got a pretty good one then if you're at around the 300,000. That's one of the lower mileage MRP trucks, and you should do good with that. Yeah, that's probably true. I was trying to use that as an analogy for it'd have to be somebody I really, really trusted before I hired them to drive a truck. And even then I'd be a little leery. I've been here since June the 6th, so that'd put me somewhere around 8 months, 9 months. I guess March would be 9 months. Manny, I agree, never do business with friends or family. If Jerry's out of the office, the next person I would call is a girl named Dawn, DAWN, and she's out of the Memphis terminal. She's a planner there, and she works nights. She's been in the office about an hour now. So call the Memphis terminal and ask to speak to Dawn. And I don't have her number right off the top of my head, but call there. You can probably Google Swift Transportation in Memphis and get her number and talk to Dawn. She's very helpful as well after hours. And another thing you can do, when they send you a load, it'll usually have a planner's name at the bottom with their phone number. Write that down in a little book or somewhere. And then next time you're in that area and you need a load, call that person, and they're the planner for that area and they can help you find something. You'll get, especially if you get one that hooks you up pretty good, and that'll help you in the future as well. Get on a Walmart dedicated account, pay is a bit less, but I'm always moving and consistently getting over 300 or 3,000 miles a week. Yeah, a lot of people like those Walmart dedicateds. I looked at it at one point for what is that, Los Lunas, New Mexico, and I didn't end up doing it, but it's really because I like traveling around the country. At some point in time, if I got tired of doing it, I might do it. But for now, I'm pretty happy doing what I'm doing, and that's the honest truth. Choose to believe me or not, but I was told I couldn't PC bobtail from Atlanta to home because it was over an hour. Why I asked, I was curious on what you was told. Well, I'd want to know who told you that because they're mistaken. There's no if you're an independent contractor. Now, if you're a company driver, that's a whole different deal. But um, if you don't believe me, next time you go into PC, look, it doesn't put any limitations on it. Put it in PC mode and read. Uh, and for the comment, put going home, and you'll never get a message or anything. I don't know who told you that, and who knows, maybe Swift changed their policy. But like I said, I had 2 days in a row where I used PC for over uh, for over 400 miles, and they never said nothing. They consider PC to home benefiting the company. Who does? I've never, because that's not what DOT regulations say. You can PC home. You can't PC back to the terminal, but you can PC home. Like I said, we could have a spirited debate about this, but the proof is in the writing. If somebody's got that DOT regulation and you want to send it to me, I'll make a video and I'll show everybody. But I think companies interject and DOT officers even interject a lot of stuff that's not in there. Now, another thing that is in there is interpretation, and different companies and different people will interpret the laws differently. But that's uh, that's what we'll say about that. But I've never been restricted on it, and who knows, Swift may. So according to this, FMCSA says laden or unladen. Yeah, but you can't advance a trip. So that would mean if you're laden, you can't do personal conveyance. You have to be empty. Now, a lot of companies used to say that that meant you couldn't be pulling an empty trailer. You had to be bobtail. And they've changed that. You can have an empty trailer, but you can't advance your trip. You can't be going to a shop. You can't be going to a terminal. It should be for, going to Walmart or going to see a movie or going out to dinner. I did that when I was in Greer. I went to, I believe it was a Texas Roadhouse. I don't remember where we ate. Anyway, I personal conveyance to a restaurant to have dinner with one of the dispatchers. So um, in 99% of the cases, 50 miles of personal conveyance should be enough. But to the best of my knowledge, there's not a regulation that limits that distance, but your company can limit that distance. So if somebody's got that DOT regulation and I'm wrong, send it to me and I'll make a video about it. I'll put a video out tomorrow if y'all send me something. Let's see, I was with KLLM, left them a month ago. They are having too much internal problems in the last year. So looking into Swift Lease, just not sure which one was lease and company with KLLM. Yeah, I don't have any firsthand knowledge about KLLM. I just remember meeting a driver once when I was getting unloaded, and he said he had been in the hole for 6 weeks, and if he ran hard this week, he would he'd get a check for $143. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. So I knew when he said $143 for 6 weeks, I was out. Wouldn't be something I'd want to do. Will Swift let you stay out as long as you want? No one put me and my pet. So yeah, Swift will let you work as long as you want. I'm not sure what the no one put me and my pet means, but yeah, they will take a pet, and they do have a rider program. No, I did not quit Swift and don't have any plans to. I'm even wearing a Swift shirt tonight, but I'd have to stand up for you to see it. I'm at home right now on home time though, so that had doctor's appointments, and I'm going to Illinois to pick up that truck. But I hadn't even applied anywhere. The debacle with Swift this week is a policy problem and not a contractual problem, and it's not a bad enough policy problem to warrant me quitting. It's just a bad enough problem for me to change some of my strategies and stuff here. And so I know going into it that they're not going to finance the balloon. I can't pay the truck off early, things like that. So I just plan accordingly. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what I recommend. If it's a policy that bothers you guys, work here, save your money, and buy a truck. And then you don't have to deal with that policy. And, let your points of contact at Swift know that you're not happy about it. And if enough people put pressure on them, maybe that policy will change. But I'm not going anywhere, or at least I say that. I don't have any plans of quitting. Everyone don't make the same money. That 2,500's an average. Some make more than that. That's the beauty of trucking. We all don't make the same money. It's up exactly, and how well you run your business. Am I leaving money on the table? Absolutely. I could definitely make more than 2,500 a week here, but I want to have a work-life balance. You can go back and look at my videos. I always put my location. I go home a lot, and I'm involved in my family's lives, and all my kids are grown, and it's just me and the wife now. But I uh, I don't, I'm not chained to this truck. I have a life outside of trucking, and I recommend you have the same too. The money's important, and you want to have enough to be comfortable, but you don't want it to rule your life. And some of you, I swear, that's all y'all think about is how can I make $1 more this week? And just get to a point where you're comfortable, enjoy life a little bit. That was convert. Rewatch the show. He's still with Swift. Yeah. And then he corrected himself and said covered. Technically, PC to a terminal to drop yard is legal. I don't, all the interpretations I've read and seen say going to a terminal is not, because what are you going to the terminal for? You're going to do business when you get there. You're going to turn in paperwork. You're going to pick up a trailer, something like that. Uh, oh, good. Dennis gave us some clarification. The 2 hour PC rule is for local drivers. So there you go. There you go. And I agree with Fran. I've only used it a handful of times, but nobody's ever said nothing to me. But I know the rules, and it's like split logging. I never get in trouble split logging because I know the rules. And just like a lot of people won't take the time to read their contract, a lot of guys won't take the time to learn the rules for the business they're in. It's just like if you were an NFL player, you would want to know the rules of football before you stepped onto the field so that you didn't get penalties, so that you didn't get ejected from the game. And it's the same thing for trucking. You want to know the rules so you don't get penalties or you don't get ejected from the game. Learn the rules, and then learn how you can operate best with inside the rules. There's no figure exactly. I'm 99% sure that this is true on how many miles you can drive on PCs. Exactly. Yeah. And Swift's rule is 25 for company drivers, and you still have to get permission. But as an independent contractor, you're open. You just you need to use it correctly, because they will yank it if you they'll turn it off on your system if you get caught using it to advance your trip or do something you shouldn't be doing with it. Well, but we're talking about a different thing. You're a company driver, so yeah, they're going to charge you for the fuel. But as an independent contractor, we're paying for the fuel. So it's a different thing, and that may be where the confusion's coming in this video. We've got some guys in here that are company drivers, and we got some guys in here that are independent contractors, and it's getting kind of blurry between the two. But yeah, a company, um, the first company that I worked for, they'd charge you $1 a mile if you went out a route, and so now they didn't enforce it very often, but a few times they'd have guys that go 300 or 400 miles out of route, and they'd charge them for it. Yeah, yeah, I think it is. I'm pretty sure. And like the one guy said, local. I think local has a lot to do with it. Terminal is better than any shops. Why? Because if they mess it up, they'll fix it for free and you can get a loaner truck. I don't let nobody but Swift mess with my truck. I guess that's why, no problem. Yeah, I've got some, you guys know, if you've seen some of my older videos, I had some really bad experiences with the dart shops when I worked at Dart Transit. And so for that reason, I'm a little gun shy around company shops. However, the few times that I have used Swift shops, I've had good experiences at all of them. And so I would generally have to agree with Fran, but I do get a little nervous. But they've done some real honest work. For example, when they did my windshield in Oklahoma City, they moved the little, or the camera got damaged that does the lane departure. And they originally told me I was going to have to pay $140 for it, and so I paid for it. And then when they turned it in, they found out it was warranty, and they credited that back. Now a lot of shops would have just pocketed that money, and I'd have never known the difference. But Swift, their shops have been very honest with me so far. Does Swift have lost equipment sheet where you can pick up? That's another great question I don't know the answer to. I would be surprised if they had any lost equipment. They've got trailer tracking on all their equipment now. But if you know where a trailer is that they don't know where it's at, contact your OOC and see if you can get a reward for turning it in. That'd be a cool deal. And let me know if you can. Shoot me an email and let me know what they tell you, because I'll pass that on to other drivers. Riley giving us more information on PC. Federal government has no mileage restrictions like 30 miles, 50 miles, etc., or specific time of day for what's allowable. However, again, exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's correct. And a lot of companies do. I understand why they do it for company trucks. I don't get why they do it for independent contractors that are paying for the fuel. But these are the kind of questions you need to find out about before you go to work at any company. I'm trying to put anyone down, just trying to understand. But you can't make that every week unless you're working. Well, I don't think anybody's on here representing that they're working 5 days and going home too on an over the road type position. Um, I I stayed out this last time, I think about 4 weeks. So you know, it is what it is. But let's, if in your scenario you're saying 2,500 for 5 days a week work, that's 500 a day. I think that's pretty good money. And we're talking about net now, after everything, after fuel, after truck payment. Obviously, there's guys on here making a lot more than that. There's a guy that's normally in here that he makes about 3,000, 3,200 a week. I like to have a work life balance. So, like, I'm going to be home at least a week this time. And so that's the deal there. But like I say, if you know of a company that's better, throw it out there and let's examine it and take a look at it. I think sometimes we get, and I'm not talking about you here, but I think sometimes we get unrealistic expectations. And I can remember when 1,500 a week was really good money to be a truck driver, and then it was 1,800 a week, and then it was 2,000, and now we're going, wow, if I don't make 3,000 a week, I'm not coming out. And it's just, it may not, it may be some time before it'll get there. Now it may get there with inflation and everything else, but we got to have realistic expectations. And I kind of snicker every time I hear somebody say, I can't live on 100,000 a year, because for the majority of my truck driving career, I was dirt poor, and I lived on a lot less. And so right now, I find myself being just grateful for what I have, and the way things are going now. This is a good point. I'm glad Chris brought this up. He said he tried to talk to Linda. That's okay. The thing, once you say Linda, though, what happens is even if they transfer you to something else, when you tell them you want what Trucker Todd has, if they don't know what that is, they'll go ask Linda and she'll tell them. But it's most of them at OOIDA know who I am now, because we've had a few hundred people call trying to get the exact same insurance. And so, all right, let's see what Tim sent me. There's the regulation. I'm going to copy that and I'll look at it later when we get off the air. If you want to summarize it for us here, though, what it says, that would be great. But there's the regulation. Exactly. Yeah, I think you need to think more in quarterly terms and percentages and things like that. I believe in that PDF it was 30% of net, but I'm not sure. Again, I'm not going to answer tax questions because I'm not qualified to do that. Come next Tuesday, and we'll pose it to Trucker CFO and get an answer, or go to truckercfo.com and download that free PDF. And how I wish I owed a little over 13,000. So um, if it's okay though, if you're making money, you should owe taxes. It's okay. If you worked a job, you'd pay taxes. It's part of it. Now, you want to minimize your taxes as much as possible, but people get so hung up on taxes, and just make the money and deduct where you legally can. And again, I'm not a tax professional. I'm not offering tax advice, but join us next Tuesday and they'll offer tax advice. And you can email me your questions or come in, and we'll get your questions in the comments. And so there we go. Yeah, Fran, that's right. That's for company drivers. For those that didn't understand me earlier, 25 miles for company drivers, and they have to get their fleet manager to approve even that. Fran, I was company and able to PC 300 miles to my home, got okay. Well, see, that's different if you're, that's a, that's Swift approving it. I don't play the piano. I love piano music, but I don't play. It's a virtual background. It's kind of boring to see a plain white wall. I'm in a public place using public Wi-Fi. That's why you'll see me nodding at people and waving occasionally, because people are walking by and recognizing me and saying stuff. But yeah, that's what's going on here. And let's see what else we got here. I was going off memory about PC, and I can be wrong. Mostly going off company. Oh no, Tim, I appreciate you being here. And that's Tim's a perfect example. Tim come in and we disagree on this, but he didn't name call me. He didn't tell me I'm stupid or make fun of me. He just said he disagreed with me. We both admitted we might be wrong. We're both going to research it some more. And So Tim's the perfect example. And also Tim, also when the other guy said he didn't have a job, Tim started offering suggestions, trying to help him. That's exactly what we're trying to accomplish in here. If we had 1,000 Tims in here, we'd be in good shape because he's a good guy with a lot of experience and knowledge, and he's just in here trying to help. And so there's no hard feelings. But yeah, that's companies have really muddied the waters on a lot of this stuff, and you can't blame them. If you're paying the diesel, you wouldn't want your guys out cruising around in the truck either. You'd want them driving it as little as possible when they didn't have a load. But I'm really glad Tim's here because he every week he always contributes something good to the show. Well, if Swift okay, then you're good, but the rule's 25. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're going to go over that, you just need to get with Swift if you're a company driver. So right now, this is a really good question, actually. Right now, Swift pays me under my legal name, which there's been much ado made about that. My middle name's actually Todd, but that's what I've gone by since birth. And so it's what I went through all through school. I've always gone by my middle name. And they pay me by my legal name. I'm currently running as a solo, I mean, as an independent contractor, 1099 sole proprietor, but I am getting my LLC and I'm also getting an S Corp after consulting with Trucker CFO. I've determined that I need to do that. And so that'll be taking place in the coming weeks. And I'll make videos saying why I did it, but I won't be making videos to tell you to do it. I recommend each and every one of you contact Trucker CFO and let him discuss your situation with you and help you make the best decision for you. But he felt like I've got about 5 revenue streams, and he felt like for my particular situation that that might be the thing to do. So that's what I'm doing. Fran says she runs under her company name. Um, that was after making me stay out past when I put in for home time. Um, I didn't catch your earlier comment, I don't guess. West Coast, hey Todd, jumping in here. Yeah, me too. Thank you for coming in, and thanks for all the concern. I know I had a lot of people praying for me. A lot of people called to see if I was okay. Tons of emails, and I appreciate all the concern. But I wouldn't leave you guys high and dry. If I was leaving here, I would tell you, and I'd tell you where I was going and why. But I still think this is a great place to work. Like I say, it's a policy problem. Anywhere you work, you're going to have policies you don't like. And I'm just going to try to work within the confines of what they're now saying. And I hope that as a result of my videos, people will reach out to them and express their concerns, and maybe they'll be motivated to make some changes to those policies in the future. All right, let's see. Well, because you live in Illinois, and Illinois is one of the states that is considering AB5 type legislation, and pretty much no company is going to lease you a truck in that state unless you do one of those foreign owned Chicago based trucking companies, which are really, really shady. And, you know, it's elections have consequences. And when you elect people that are anti-business, then you're going to get anti-business legislation, and businesses aren't going to want to go there. And so, my my advice would be to move out of that state into a more business-friendly state, if that's possible. Hey, Gregory, thanks for coming in. Man, we've been going strong tonight. We're at 2 hours and 15 minutes. Yeah, that's unacceptable. I've had to reschedule a couple because they'll miss it by a day or two. But a week before I'm supposed to go home, I start reminding them, hey, don't forget, I got home time scheduled for this day. I got a doctor's appointment. And In extreme situations, I'll deadhead home. I mentioned on this time, I had to deadhead 800 miles to get home, and but usually they do a better job. A lot of times they'll send me to Dallas and then get me a load to Plainview, which is about 45 miles from my house. But yeah, you've got to stay on them and remind them, even though you do that macro for home time, about a week before you're supposed to go home, you need to be on them and reminding them so that you don't get skipped over. But 3 weeks is unacceptable. And if that happens again, reach out to me and I'll try to get some other people involved so that doesn't happen again. Go owner op so you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, yeah, that's uh, that's it. Yeah, because if you're company driver, you can't deadhead like I just did. But you're the captain of your ship when you're independent contractor. So here's a great question. So the way dispatching works here is you've got three ways you can get your loads. You can go through your OOC, which is like a fleet manager. You can send a macro 30, which almost never works, but it'll send you up to 3 loads available in your area, or you can contact the planners directly. Now, they have three main planners that deal with independent contractors, and then they've got dozens of regional planners. So as you get to know the regional planners, you can call them directly. But typically, I do the three main planners most of the time, and I have a lot of success with them. Actually, my strategy, I'm also beta testing the load board. So I typically look at the load board first, see if there's anything on there that works. If not, I contact one of the three planners, depending on what region I'm in, and tell them what I'm looking for, and they help me find something. Do I ever sit? Absolutely. Do I always get exactly how many miles I want each week? No. It's trucking, it's over the road, but I've found that most of the time I can make it work and do pretty well here. And if it doesn't, I turn it down and keep looking until I find what I'm looking for. But I really like the dispatch model here. And I'd say about 2/3 of my loads are coming from the load board right now, but I do have to use dispatch quite a bit, especially when I want to come home because they don't have all the loads on there yet. When you're going home, don't take anything that's not going that way. Yeah, that's another good option. If I'm trying to get to Texas and I'm in Kansas, I'm not going to take a load to New Jersey or to Atlanta unless they've got something going to Texas from there. And it might be a phone call. I'm calling, I'm saying, hey, if I take this load, how are we going to get me to Texas from there? And they might say, oh, we've got this load over here. This is our plan. But you've got to be kind of part of the process. And I realize that may be a little harder when you're a company driver, but Fran and I are independent contractors, and we can kind of have some input and say so in that. You really don't have to turn the loads down. You can ask if they want you to take it to a terminal, T-call, everybody wins. Yeah, that's another option. Take advantage of their terminal network. I've done that a few times. I'll T-call a load in Oklahoma City, and then I'm about 300 miles from my house. So there is some options. Ernestus, I already answered that question. So I'm going to skip it. And now Fran's answering that question for you. Yeah, Fran's a fun one to have in the chat too. I'm glad she's here. Just a quick answer. Is there any certain reason you went straight lease over MRP? Yeah, so there's a funny story about that. The very first truck I was going to get was an MRP truck, and it was in El Paso, Texas. And so they rented me a car, and I drove out there and looked at it, and it was, I had some concerns about it. We'll just say that. So I called them and I said, hey, I've got these concerns, A, B, and C. And they said, well, what if we fix those things for you? And I said, no, these are really big concerns. I just don't feel comfortable in this truck. And so hang on just a second. I'll be right back. So I said, I said, I've got some really big concerns about this truck. And they said, well, we'll fix it. And I said, well, I still don't feel like that's a good truck for me. So they found me another truck that was in Dallas that had just come out of the shop. And I guess the guy backed out of it at the last minute. And so it ended up being that 2022 Freightliner that it only had 28,000 miles on it, and it was super nice. So that's how I ended up with that truck. But originally, I was going to do an MRP truck. I like Peterbilt's and Kenworth's, and it was a red. I want to say it was a 2018 or 2019 Kenworth in Dallas, at Lancaster, there at that terminal that I ended up with, and it's been bulletproof. I don't have anything to say bad about it. It should be under factory warranty the whole time I have it. So I'm sorry about that. I had to go to Dallas. So I ended up putting a lot of cars on, or a lot of miles on that rental car. Logic is with us. Thanks for joining, man. Yeah. So what the MRP trucks? Let's call them what they are. They are company trucks. They are end of cycle company trucks. So Swift gets new trucks. They run them for about 3 years. And then when they get near being out of warranty or they're out of warranty, Swift releases those trucks out as MRP trucks. That's why they put the company sponsored warranty on them, because they're not going to have any factory warranty. And if they had a major breakdown, a lot of guys couldn't afford to take care of it. Yeah, see, we had a heated debate about that on one of the round tables. I agree with you. I'd pay a couple of hundred extra for less breakdowns. It's not the repairs that kill you out here; it's the downtime. And I think we're seeing that with some of the other guys that are leasing. And I'll admit, there's some that never break down, but we're seeing that they've had a lot more breakdowns than I have. And so I don't know their revenue numbers, but I'll bet you in the last 3 or 4 months that they've been here that my revenue's higher because I haven't broke down as much. Now that could change. My truck could break next time I take it out, and I could be down for 3 or 4 weeks. But hopefully during that time I've saved up enough money that I'm ready for that breakdown. And so I like factory warranties. I just do. And so that's the deal on that. And I like the way Swift does the maintenance better on a straight lease too. I can withdraw that money out of my maintenance account at any time for any reason. And in an MRP, there's a lot more stipulations for when you can draw money out and things like that. Logic says to click the thumbs up. Yes, please do that. That gets this video out where more people can see it, and I would really appreciate it. Fran says hi to Neo. Edge says thank you, Chris. Fran's got her own little fan club in here. Everybody wants to say hi to Fran. That's probably well, let's think about that for a second. If you made 2,500 a week, 10%, that would work on my situation. That'd be 250 a week. And I just shared earlier, my taxes was a little over 13,000 for 2022. So that would come real close to covering it. And if you had to come a little out of pocket, it wouldn't be overwhelming. I think the key is you need to be saving something. A lot of these guys don't think about it all year. And then April 15th comes and their accountant calls them and goes, hey, you need $10,000. You need $12,000. And they don't have a road map to get there. One great thing about quarterly estimates, whether you pay them or just do it all at the end of the year, quarterly estimates kind of are a good thermometer for if you're saving on track. So for example, if your quarterlies are $3,000 and you get to the end of the quarter and you've saved 3,500, you know you're on track. But if you get to that quarter and you've only got 1,000 in savings, you know you really need to step it up. But I think you're probably pretty close right there for my numbers anyway. I don't know about for your numbers. And again, I got to be real careful. I'm not offering any tax advice here. When it comes to taxes, you guys shouldn't listen to anything I say. You should come back next week and ask Trucker CFO, and he's going to give you a lot more knowledgeable information than what I could. All right, let's see who's next. Well, we skipped Fran. Fran says she agrees with Chris. All right, let's see here. Say you have a load that delivers 3 days time, but you making it a day but can't deliver early. Is that called for a TCAL? I'm not up to date on the term. Yeah, so basically, if you see that's going to happen, or even before you accept the load, is the best way to do it. If you see there's a load with a lot of time on it, call your OOC or the planner on that dispatch and just say, hey, can we T-call this load at this terminal? What you'll do is you'll drop it at that terminal and somebody else will deliver it at a later date. So let me give you an example, though, of what you don't want to do. Let's say you're in Phoenix and you got a load going to Houston. You don't want to take it all the way to Houston and say, hey, can I T-call it at the Houston terminal? Because nobody else is going to want to haul that load. They're going to go, there's no miles on it. I don't want to do that. What you'd want to do is say, hey, can I T-call it in El Paso? That way somebody else could get some miles on it and still make a living and you could move on. But you'd want to make sure before you did that that there was also loads out of El Paso. And that's part of what a good planner will do with you. They'll make sure that you're going to have something to follow that up with and that they can get it covered for the next guy. So, but yeah, T-call is basically repowering a load. And sometimes you'll be asked to do it, go to a terminal and get a load and deliver it 500 or 600 miles away. And I do quite a bit of those. Almost always when I go home, I pick up a T-called load in Lancaster and bring it to Plainview. And I don't know where they're bringing them from. I think from Houston area or something, but I've done 2 or 3 of those. So none of the trucks have APUs. They have that OptiIdle system. They do have, you can add it if you want to at your own expense. You need to get it approved through rapid response. There's some requirements. I can't remember. It's like you can't drill a hole that's more than 2 inches wide or 4 inches wide or something. It's in the terms of what you can do and not do. I personally would not add an APU to a truck until I was either paid off or almost paid off, because anything could happen. I mean, the truck could crap out and you could lease another one. It could be totaled in an accident. You could decide that you and Swift were going to part ways and you've got that big investment and then you're going to have to pay to have it removed from the truck. So me personally, I wouldn't add an APU at my own expense till it was paid off. And, Swift had a couple of trucks that they did a cost benefit analysis where they put APUs on them and tried them out. And they didn't find that the benefit outweighed the cost when they looked at all the factors. Now, you got to keep in mind too, that I'm not saying it wouldn't be a benefit for you. They've got a lot of company drivers that may or may not take care of that APU. They've got people that might not use it correctly or as much as they should. And so they decided not to get them. But if you wanted to do it on an individual basis, there's a place in Springfield, Missouri that has rebuilt ones that they're quite a bit cheaper. But I wouldn't consider doing it on my 2022 Freightliner unless it was just almost paid off or paid off and I was certain I had the balloon payment saved up. Also, the EPUs are pretty good. The battery operated ones, I had one of those on an international I had at Roadrunner, and it was really, really good. But I know some people have said they're scared of those, that some of those have caught on fire. But I never had a problem with any of them catching on fire. Sorry if I'm wobbling a little bit. This table's a little wobbly. Let's see who else we got here. Not that I've seen. Yeah, there's not. Yes, Samantha, but get it T-called before you take the load. They don't have to do it once you've already accepted the load. Yeah, exactly. So Fran agrees with me. Yeah, they only have OptiIdle. They have bunk heaters and inverters. I live in northern Utah where it's about 10 degrees and I never idle my truck unless I'm cooking. I haven't found a need for an APU. Well, if it's below 17, you should either be idling or have a really good fuel additive in your truck because diesel can start to gel at under 17 degrees. Um, but yeah, mine, what I do on mine, and I'll just share this with you. I put mine on the battery mode opti-idle, and then I set the bunk heater. And the battery mode will make sure that the fluids stay warm enough, and it'll crank the truck and turn off throughout the night, so I'm still saving fuel. And then if I need air, I put it on the climate control opti-idle, but I use the battery mode for heat, and it might crank once a night for 15 or 20 minutes. It's not using very much fuel, and it works really good. You're welcome, Samantha. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I agree. I think Freightliner has a really good opti-idle system, and I think Volvo has the worst opti-idle system, uh, and they call it something different. Um, and I wasn't super impressed with Kenworth or Peterbilt's, but they're okay. I think probably Freightliner and International have the best opti-idle system. So we actually covered this in that Trucker CFO last time they came on in that interview. Um, it depends which per diem you're talking about. If you're talking about the per diem that's like $69 a day when you're out on the road, that's great. That's going to be one of your bigger deductions. If you're talking about the per diem that a lot of companies do to company drivers, there was some pros and cons to it. Trucker CFO said one of the cons were that when you go to get a loan, like a car loan or something, it makes your income look a lot less. So, again, I'd encourage you to come back next week, next Tuesday, and we'll pitch that question to Trucker CFO once again and get a little clarification. You guys need to check them out too. I'm not saying get them, but call them, tell them you've been watching Trucker Todd, and all that does is incentivize them to want to come on my Tuesday show at the end of every month like they've been doing. But it'll also help me out that way. But ask them your questions, interview them, see if you're as impressed with them as I was. My stress level has gone down so much since I left ATBS, and I think you'll like them. Yeah, if you're a light sleeper, I could see where that'd be a concern, but it doesn't wake me up. I sleep right through it. And I would say that if that wakes you up, then a reefer would probably also wake you up, and possibly an APU would wake you up. Some APUs are pretty loud, but that's definitely a legitimate concern. Fran says she won't buy a truck that doesn't have opti-idle. She's spoiled. Makes this beautiful sound when she starts. Yeah, and I'll tell you something else. Here's another tip you can try. I was reading online that they say if you'll turn your Jake brake on when your opti-idle's running, so on a Freightliner, just pull that lever all the way down, that it makes it crank smoother. And you guys try that and see if it does make your truck crank smoother or not. But like I said, it doesn't wake me up. Yeah, I'm still more compliant. I do the macro to tell them when I want to go home, and that's just so that they can help me look for loads going home. But you definitely don't have to. It's just a courtesy that I provide them. And they leave me alone when I'm at home. They don't call me and say, "Hey, when you coming back out?" And that's probably one of the main things I like about Swift is they respect my home time. I can tell you so many companies that they'd call me, "Hey, we got a truck broke down. Can you cover this load? We'll make it up to you." Or, "Hey, we got a shipper that just called. Can you leave 2 days early?" And they never do that. I've never had them call, "Hey, when you coming back out?" And so many other companies do that. I can't tell you how nice that is. The only calls I get now is from you guys, and I'm glad to get those. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you too, man. I hope I wasn't short with you. Sometimes I can come across as being kind of having an attitude or something. I don't mean it that way. It's just it's uh it's it's frustrating some of the laws and stuff that have got passed against truck driving, and so my frustrations with them, not you. I promise you. Yeah, Fran's a little bit of a rebel in the company. My truck payment is 676 a week. So most of the people I talk to with Swift Dedicated like it. I've talked to some that didn't like it, but they say that they run pretty good. And the thing that they really like is when Walmart does like a what do they call it? A surge around Christmas time. And they recommend if you do the Walmart surge around Christmas time, you can make a lot of money. I think Target does a thing like that too. But there's a lot of guys on that Walmart dedicated that like it. I think a lot of it just depends on where you live and if you're in a good area. But definitely check it out if it's something you're interested in. Contractors Corner only has 25 watching. Yeah, that's usually about what they get when we're live. They don't like me very much. Let's talk about them for a second. I wasn't going to, but let's talk about them for a second. You can go back and look if they hadn't pulled the video. I've been on their show once or twice, and on that show, they talked about how much they like me, uh, all this, how much knowledge I've got. Now they claim to barely know me, and they claim that they have to correct a lot of the information that I put out. But if they're correcting so much of my information, why are they only getting 25 views? You would think they would get some loyalty from all these people that they're saving from my bad information. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time bad mouthing them, but they just, I don't get it. They're mad at me for whatever reason. I heard it was because I found out about the Swift insurance thing and the cameras before they did. They've done tons of horrible things to me, like try to get my insurance canceled when I first got my insurance. That's how I know my insurance is good. It's been gone over with a fine tooth comb, and they've uh, they've got the reason we haven't had more interviews on this Tuesday show. They've persuaded a lot of the guests that we had scheduled to come on to not come on because it might be risky or I might have a gotcha moment or something like that. So I think when you do the right thing, things work out. For the most of this broadcast, we were over 60, so we're over twice what they are. Tomorrow, 24 hours from now, go back and look at their views and look at mine. I'll be at 3 to 4 times what they are, and that's because I'm on here with good intentions, trying to help people, while they're over there bad mouthing me and they even come in my comments sometimes. I gave one of them a wrench trying to extend an olive branch and make peace with them, but they don't want peace. They want to take me down because they view me as competition. And it's just impossible to work with somebody like that. But anyway, I wish them the best. Uh, like the Bible talks about loving your enemies. Groceries are here from Walmart delivery. Got to make dinner and get ready, call it night. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate you coming in and I appreciate the spirited debate. I really do, man. Stay in touch. No hard feelings. Yeah, I agree. Cooper, say what you want about Cooper. That guy's a worker. And, he's making money here, I think, too. I think he's doing pretty good. But I'll say this about Cooper, too. I think Cooper would be successful at any company. He's a good truck driver. He's not tearing up his equipment. He's had a few breakdowns, but you never see him doing a video from the house. He's always in the truck working. And I never talked to him personally, don't know him personally. The few times I was on the round table, he's kind of a quiet guy, but when he says something, it's well thought out and it's pretty good. So, um, I hope Tim does well. I really do. Um, And for those that don't know, Cooper was his dog. His real name is Tim. But I hope he does well. He's a good guy and a hard worker, and I don't have anything bad to say about him. But as I said too, I don't know him personally. Just what I've seen in the round table and the videos he puts out. I subscribe to his channel, and he don't put out a lot of videos, but I watch him when he does. Loading early morning, then on my way to New Brunswick. Be careful out there, Tim. Oh boy, I went too far. Still learning this laptop, folks. Next week's going to be, even Thursday should be better than this. Yeah, there's a lot of people that feel that way, but I mean, we all have our friends, and that's uh, that's all I'll say about that. But Tim's a good guy. You're not, and Coach and I are friends. I guess we don't hang out. We've never met in person. We'll text a few times a week sometimes. He'll come in here and comment. I'll go in his videos and comment. But they just they're having some problems right now, and they're a little frustrated with Swift. And we all get frustrated with Swift. He come in tonight and made it sound like he might not be leaving Swift. But from his community posts, I think he is. But he kind of hinted like he might be hanging around. And I can tell you personally from conversations I've had with him, I know he likes it here at Swift. And I know he sees the big picture and the potential to make a lot of money here. But I know it's frustrating when the truck breaks, and we all get that way sometimes. But I'm not going to come on here and trash him. The 55 mile per hour club is fabulous. Yeah, I know that's been a real unpopular issue. I usually run 60 when I can, but I'll be the first to tell you that sometimes I run 68. Sometimes I hold the pedal to the floor and run 70. I run as slow as I can and still deliver the load on time, but I also try to control my idling and everything. It'd be, man, I need to drink some more water. It'd be foolish. It'd be foolish not to try to manage your fuel, but at the same time, there's sometimes when it makes sense to go faster. And you got to remember, we're on a sliding mileage pay scale. In a percentage contract or in an expedited contract, it might make sense to go fast all the time. It depends how you're being paid and the way you're being paid and things like that. If you're getting paid hourly, it might make sense to do 55 all the time because you're getting paid hourly. And let's see who else we got here. Fran agrees with West. Hey, Blue, glad you could make it. I was wondering if he's going to show up tonight. Yeah, 55 would be tough. And I wonder if anybody really does 55. When I do 60, there's very, very, very few people I pass. And like I said, you just kind of have to judge. If I'm hauling around an 8,000 pound load, I'm going to run wide open because my truck thinks it's empty anyway. If I'm running 10 across Arizona and New Mexico and Texas where it's flat, and I've got a light load, say 10,000 pounds, I'm going to run fast because my truck's going to think it's empty anyway. But if I got 40,000 pounds or 45,000 pounds of beer, I might slow down a little bit and try to save fuel. You just have to, you have to put a little common sense to it. I'm glad you find the show interesting, and I'm glad you're here. Thanks, Thor. Yeah, they wave at us, but sometimes it's the middle finger. But yeah, that's that's funny. It is less stress, and you find yourself hitting your brakes a lot less, and you get less violations on your camera for those of you running company cameras because you have your following distance. When you break down, jump in a rental truck so you still make money. Yeah, maybe. The problem with the rental trucks at Swift is they company spec them at company speeds, so it's like 63 and 65. and they've got the cameras and the micromanagement, just like you're a company driver. I don't know that I would do that or not. And but yeah, for some people that might be necessary, depending on how long your truck's going to be broke down for. Everything's a case by case basis. Wow, we're almost at the 3 hour mark. So um, it's tough to say because there is advantages to going slow, but I think 55 is a little slow, and it's it's one of those deals. I'm not going to argue with anybody about it. I've said before, if you're making money, if you're happy at the money you're making, then keep doing what you're doing. But if you're not, try slowing down 5 miles an hour and see if it makes a difference. I've got a guy that did it, and his first week. A matter of fact, he was in here earlier. I think he's gone now. Chris Bollinger. He uh, he noticed a 1.5 gallon increase in fuel economy. So you guys can do the math. That's a lot of money. Now, did he lose a little bit of loads? Maybe, maybe not, because most of you are running 25 to 2,800 miles a week anyway. And he's still getting those miles. So he's running the same miles that you. Yeah, it's a little more boring, but he's saving 1.5 miles a gallon on fuel. I drive all week. I know you guys criticize me for reading some of this funny stuff. Y'all think I'm dumb for doing it, but you've gotta you've got to recognize comedy when you see it. And we're probably getting close to the end of this. I'm going to try to get a few more comments in before I leave. What's the total cost per week on a straight lease, including the fixed cost? Well, it depends on if you use your own insurance, what truck you get, things like that. On mine, and I've got one of the most expensive trucks you can get here. Mine was 676 a week for the truck and 285 a week for the fixed expenses. When I was on Swift stuff, I had everything you could get. I had ATBS, I had the deductible buy down, I had the windshield buy down thing. I had all the options you could get, and mine was a 676 for the truck and 285 for the fixed, but mine's less than that now. Yeah, I'm on TikTok. I believe it's Trucker Todd on YouTube. Try typing in Trucker Todd and you should see me. I do believe I put it down in the description too. I don't have a lot of content there right now. A friend of mine sent me a video of his neighbor feeding an alligator. And right now, or a crocodile, I don't know the difference between an alligator and a crocodile. But anyway, that's about the only original content I've posted. I've reposted some stuff. I'm trying to get some stuff on there. I'm really struggling because the format of videos I do doesn't fit real well into a 1 minute or 3 minute clip, but I am working on it and trying to get more stuff out. So we're going to have a whole series on the Volvo coming up real soon. I'm going to get it this weekend. It runs and drives fine. It's got some cosmetic stuff, like the driver's seat deflates like it does in my Freightliner. I had them swap the seats around in the Freightliner until I could get it somewhere and get the part and get it fixed. And so that's what I'll say about that. But it's an older truck. It's a 2008. There's going to be some little stuff I got to fix. The temperature gauge doesn't work, and my son's a diesel mechanic. I'm going to take it down to him, let him fiddle with it. But by no means does this mean I'm quitting Swift. That's not what I bought the truck for. Uh, Once I decide if I'm selling it or not, I'll tell you guys what I paid for it, and it'll become very, very clear why I bought that truck. I believe I can sell it for 4 to 5 times what I paid for it. And so that's why I did that. Yeah, try that Jake trick and see how it works for you. Let me know on the Thursday video if you notice a difference. It doesn't wake me up, so I don't worry about it. But they said to try that if that's something that's bothering you. 10 years out here, you get used to all the sounds. Yeah. So we're talking about a different thing right here. What we're talking about is an automatic truck with opti-idle, and the truck is auto start stopping on its own. And it's actually a recommendation they make for the truck to make it not shake so much when it cranks. I couldn't tell much difference, but it's something I read on the internet, and so I'm just asking people to try it and see. But as you know, when you turn on OptiIdle, it has all kinds of conditions that have to be met before it'll work, and so it's not dangerous or anything that would damage the truck, or the truck wouldn't allow you to do it. Well, thank you, John. I'm glad you're here. I hope you'll continue to come in and join us. Hang on, I got to take care of something. Okay, I'm back. I'm actually going to put one of their comments up, and we're going to talk about this because they're outright lying. Right here, they're saying they did not try to get my insurance canceled. They actually did. I know the guy they called. They told him they didn't think it met the qualifications, and they asked him to check it out and make sure my coverage was sufficient. Now, they can deny it, and that's fine. And but we're not going to have a confrontation about it. They're free to do whatever they want. And so anyway, yes, they did, and yes, they have reached out to people and tried to get them to not come on my Tuesday show because it goes up against their show. They've done all kinds of underhanded stuff, including coming in my comments here and trying to steal my viewers with their little underhanded comments and all the wee woo stuff they do. But anyway, we're going to move on from them. So I would say for the most part, it's kind of slow, but it depends on what part of the country you're in. But it's definitely not where we want it to be. Some of the market reports I've seen have said that they expect it to pick up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I had a great 21 T680 as an owner operator. It didn't bring the comment up. A year ago was great then. No camera, governed at 70 with cam 72. Payoff early, no penalty, was specced out with no lane departure. Yeah, and you might could still get one of those trucks, but uh, it'd be uh, it'd be hard. I think all of the 21s now have that lane departure on them for Swift. Fran said it's busy for her. He said, okay, so he didn't do it, but he did it. Here you go, folks. So he didn't call and ask them to look into my insurance to see if it was acceptable or not. But right here, he did ask if it was allowed or not. So he did try to do it. And here he even mentions the person he called. This is the kind of stuff they do over on their channel. And this is why they get 25 views. And this is why they have credibility issues. This stuff right here. And normally I wouldn't publish this stuff, but if you just listen to what they say, they talk themselves into a circle here. They use the same fuel card I use, except they don't use it. And they claim they don't make money off of it, except they must because they push it awful hard, even though they don't use it. So anyway, agreed. Cooper is a go-getter no matter where he goes. He needs to pick better friends. Um, yeah, I don't know about that. I know he's a hard worker. I'll say that for him. And I'll bet you, Cooper's one of those guys that I'll bet you if he made a deal with you, if you sold him a car and you sold it on a handshake, he said, Friday, I'll bring you $500. You could take him at a word. I think Cooper's probably a man of his word. And I don't think he's got a dishonest bone in his body. I think he's probably a pretty stand up guy. But again, I don't know him personally. It's just the perception I have about him. And let's see here, get a couple more in. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, everybody be careful out there. Let's see what else we got here tonight. Big snowstorm tonight. Talking a foot of snow. Wow. Where are you at, Wolf Wolf, that you're getting a foot of snow? Well, and I think that's one of the options he's considering. I know he mentioned on that show I was on with him and Michelle that if he couldn't get his truck fixed pretty quick, he uh, he might have to get a different truck. And they said they'd talk to him about it. So I think all options are on the table. And like I said, we're not as in close contact as what everybody thinks we are. We talk sometimes, well, through text, and I think that that's an option that's being explored. He might get a different truck if that one can't get fixed. But he told me he's tempted to keep it because he's pretty much going to have everything fixed that can be fixed on it pretty soon. So it should start being a real good truck for him. Let's see who else we got here. No, sir, you're not blocked that I'm aware of. Somebody may have put you in timeout, but it wasn't me. Hey, Alex, just got here. Did you talk about the tax management SWIFT program has to help on like myself that suck at taxes? So yeah, we touched on it briefly. SWIFT uses ATBS, and I used to have ATBS. I don't recommend them anymore. I have Trucker CFO. You can check them out at truckercfo.com, and they're going to be on my live show next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central Time. They come on the last Tuesday of every month, and we'll talk about taxes at that point. So here lately, my numbers have been down a little bit. I've been around 8.4, 8.5. The last time I did an official video where I talked about fuel economy, I was getting about 9.4. It just varies. In the wintertime, seems like the winter blends of fuel don't get as good a fuel economy. And I've had to idle a lot more lately, and I've been pulling some heavier loads lately. So that's I'm probably gonna when I go back out, I'll probably take a week and just figure it real close and give you a more accurate number. But that's generally about where it's at. I like to do it in week increments. I don't like to do tank by tank or day by day. So I'd like to run the truck for a week and calculate up all my gallons and divide it by my miles and give you guys a more accurate number. But I have noticed a decline lately. Of course, I'm coming up on being due for a service, and it should be getting better after a service. I'm enjoying my time off. No, this is a virtual background. I'm sitting in front of a white wall. Right before I was about to go live, my internet at the house went down to super slow speeds. And so I came to a public place and got on public Wi Fi. That's why you'll see me nod at people that wave, recognize me, things like that. And so I wish this was my place. But anyway, um, I hope you don't get blocked on here. I've asked all the moderators not to block people that disagree with me. It's okay to come in here and disagree with me, but let's just try to keep it civil and be respectful. I'm not going to call you names or call you dumb or nothing like that. And as long as we can keep it respectful, I don't mind if we disagree. Tim Back was in here earlier and we were disagreeing about personal conveyance, but we both kept it clean. Neither one of us took cheap shots or nothing like that. And the goal of this channel is to help people. So I just want to make sure that whatever we're doing, we're helping people. And I think if we get in a screaming match or a name calling, that we're not helping people. And that's why a second ago, the guys from that other channel came in here, and I caught myself losing it a little bit because there's been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and that's why I just moved on from that. They can say what they want, they can think what they want, and they can try to sabotage me as much as they want, but it's obviously not working. And so they're going to have to try something else. I'm blessed this week, taking home 2,700. A lot helped having with light loads. I think the heaviest. Oh, wow, that's great. And you're going to have weeks like that. And that's why I probably need to do longer than even a week, because if I just cherry pick my best week where I got my best fuel economy, that's really misleading. And I don't want to mislead you guys. I want to give you true numbers, but I want to say it has come down a lot. I've noticed the last week or two, and I'm still making money, but uh, I am uh, I am noticing that I'm spending a little more at the pump. I really don't care about saving. I like to drop it and go sit down. Going slow ain't it unless it's. Yeah, I understand. I understand, and I think Fran does pretty well here. So what she's doing is working, and in her case, she needs to keep doing what she's doing as long as it works. Fran thinks Alex is doing good. Yeah, you're the second person this week uh, that has told me about that. And Cassius King, who we were talking about earlier, made him kind of a homemade APU that he uses. And so hopefully we can. Several people said they wanted to see me and him do a show together. Hopefully we can get something put together in the future for you guys. You guys reach out to him and tell him you'd like it to see him come on here, and I'd love to have him on, and because he's got a lot of good information too. Hug your favorite troublemakers. Have a sad life. They invented the saying misery. Yeah, what's funny is a lot of the people that hate my guts the most, I actually like their channel and think they're pretty funny. I really think, I wish that I could sit down with them over a cheeseburger and we could talk. I bet they wouldn't dislike me as much as they do right now. Um, there's one I've talked about. His first name's Jim. He worked at Roadrunner. He hated my guts the first time he watched my video, but he got to know me and he found out I wasn't such a bad guy. And I think that's where these guys are too. I think they've got some misconceptions about me. And, certain people are more cynical than other people. And that may be what this is. But I'll bet you if well, I had it happen when I was in Greer. That dispatcher, not dispatcher, fleet manager that didn't like me. That's who I went to dinner with, and by the end of dinner, he was going. He told another guy that was with us, Todd's not a bad guy, and so I think being on here can give you an image. Sometimes I come across as a know-it-all. Sometimes I come across as a salesman. But if you get to know me, and you do some through these videos, but even in person, that's why I like meeting you guys at terminals. I'm actually a pretty shy, quiet guy in person, and but yeah, that's the trolls. A lot of them, I actually like their content and think they're pretty funny. I watched a couple of them this morning and laughed my tail off, and it's a little unfair that they hate me, and I wish we could fix that, but they're going to do what they want to do. And anyway, we're over 3 hours. I need to quit rambling and get through this. Let's get to some more. We're almost caught up. Wolf Wolf says WI. I'm guessing that's Wisconsin. I was going to time them out, but I didn't know if you'd want that. I don't like messing with people in these chats. Yeah, the people that I've made moderators are people I trust. And if you're not sure, time them out at first. And that way they're not permanently blocked. But if they say something that goes way over the line, and the thing I'm thinking of is like when I had Michelle on, uh, and I interviewed her, somebody said something that was real disrespectful and inappropriate to her. And I was okay with permanently hiding them from the channel. They can still watch, they just can't comment when they get hidden. But yeah, I trust you, Fran. We don't want to kick everybody out like some channels do, but sometimes we need to. So that blizzard warning is in Wisconsin. Wow. I hadn't been to Wisconsin in a long time. That's one of the places I'd really like to go sometime soon too. So a good mile per gallon range depends on what you're hauling. In a dry van, Anything above 8 is good, but there's guys on here getting above 10. So the more the merrier. In flatbed, depending on what your haul, sometimes you can get above 10 also. But I would think in a dry van, you'd want to try to stay above 8 as much as you could. Um, Anything above 8.28, you actually make money on the fuel surcharge here at Swift. And then if you use your own fuel card, that gets down around 8 or even below 8 in some cases. So the more the merrier. And even a tenth of a mile a gallon can make a big difference because of how many miles we do. Let's see. I had to step away for a few and mix the fixed payment on the truck. Fixed payment on mine was 676. If you get an MRP truck, they're usually around 450 to 500 a week. And I've got one of the more expensive trucks. A lot of them seem, if you get a straight lease truck, seem to be around 650. So it just depends on what truck. Fran says 6.9 or higher. I'd be disappointed at 6.9. I like to be above 8, but um, again, it's going to depend what you're hauling, what part of the country you're in. If you're in West Virginia in the mountains, 6.9 would be great. Okay, yeah, please do that, Brian. And it's on the ticker here at the bottom of the screen. You'll see a little blue line. It says, "Welcome to Tuesday Trucker Talk." My email is, there's my email right there. Just send me your number and we'll definitely try to figure something out tomorrow. And that one guy suggested Big M. Check them out as well. I don't know anything about them, but they might be a good option for you as well. Whatever Swift is doing, that is what you owner operators should be in. They're not. Yeah, that's a good point. You have to think about that too. These trucks were spec'd for company drivers. Let's be honest. They have less than 2,000 independent contractors. They have over 20,000 drivers, company drivers. So they spec these trucks for company driver speeds, which is 63 on the cruise, 65 on the pedal. So you want to, if you can stay in the 63 to 65 mile an hour range, that's probably going to be somewhere near the sweet spot. But like I said, I've beat this horse as much as I can, and you guys are going to do what you're going to do. But that's what I would say about that. If you're happy where you're at, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to make some improvements, try some of the things we suggest and see what happens. So she's been between 7 and 9. So the way you figure fuel economy, for those that don't know, this is the easiest way. Fill your truck up, and you need to fill it up. Reset your trip odometer and drive. Then the next time you fill up, divide the miles you've driven on your tripometer by how many gallons you put in it, and that'll give you your actual fuel economy. A lot of you are looking at the digital gauges, and sometimes those can be off. But if you're in the 7 to 9 range, that puts you right around 8, and I would say that's not bad. But any little thing you can do to make it better is just going to be money in your pocket. Fran thinks you're doing excellent. Uh, this isn't my house. This is a virtual background. I'm in a public Wi-Fi place. I actually, a few years ago, 2 years ago, about 2.5 years ago, we bought a large travel trailer, and when we're in Lubbock, we stay in that. We had planned on doing it for 2 years and buying a house, and we've enjoyed it so much we've decided to do it longer. And some of my older videos, you can go back and see it. But now that I've got this fancy laptop, I'm doing virtual backgrounds, and there's going to be more showing me, like making it look like I'm sitting on a beach and things like that. But yeah, we like it for now. We may still get a house at some point, but we're enjoying this, and it makes sense for me because I'm gone so much. If I was home every day, then a house would make a lot more sense. And this is nice when I take time off and want to travel, things like that. It's been an adventure, and I've learned a lot. And I've got really cool neighbors that take care of the house while I'm gone and stuff. So yeah, that's what we're doing. But this was just one of the backgrounds that came with StreamYard that I'm using. Been trying to get things straight, been a company driver up until the beginning of the month. Yeah, it's a learning curve. And you can email me and I'll try to help you as much as I can. I get a lot of calls and sometimes it takes me a few hours to get back to you. But the main thing, and if you don't want me, get somebody that you know that's here that's doing well and just pick their brain. Um, there's in the chat here, we got people like Fran that are doing real well, and they'll share their knowledge and insight with you in the comments. And that's what we're trying to do here is help as many people as we can. So let's see. Yeah, Fran thinks she'll do great. Just hang in there. So here's the truth about the pay period. They guarantee anything you scan on Tuesday will be on your Friday settlement. However, most of the stuff you scan on Wednesday will also be on there. They just don't guarantee it. So just because you get paid Friday don't mean you get paid Friday. It depends on your bank. I usually get my check Sunday night is when my bank posts it. But your settlement will be viewable on Friday. It just depends on how long it takes your bank to deposit or to process the direct deposit. 676 a week. Yeah, I agree with you, Fran. And again, you have to think about for Swift, they've got company drivers that don't care that are idling all the time. So 6.9 is pretty good. I'd like to see numbers for what it is for owner operators, and I'd really like to see numbers for what it is by brand. And I doubt they would ever show us that because they don't want to get in trouble with the manufacturers. But I'd be curious to know how much of a variance there is between truck manufacturers as well. Yeah, I've put stuff on at 8 o'clock at night on 8 and 9 o'clock at night on Wednesdays and still get paid. Like I say, they guarantee Tuesday on there, and Wednesdays is a maybe, but it's usually a usually. Yeah, Fran's agreeing with me. We're gonna skip through that. No way, man, Boggs. Uh, I would have bought you a cheeseburger if I'd have known that. Seriously. Um, for those that don't know, Boggs is a guy that comes in and watches sometimes. I'm not one of his favorite people in the world, but I watch his shows and get a lot of information from his shows. And he's one of those guys that I think if we went and had a cheeseburger together, I think he'd like me. But Boggs, I'm going to be here for about a week, except for when I fly to Illinois to get that truck. If you pass back through here, holler at me and I'll buy you lunch. Let's see here. We're getting near the end. Those banks get it on Thursday. They sit till Monday, most of them. Yeah, that's probably true. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I used to have a bank that would sit on it like 2 or 3 days. Yeah, some people have said that if you use Bank of America, or I think they said Wells Fargo, that they get their checks a little quicker. Probably because it's a bigger bank. South of La Mesa. Oh man, you're about 60 miles away from here now. But next time you're in the area, holler at me, and we'll hang out for a little bit. I'll buy you lunch or something. Trucker Zoe said, "Thank you, friend." All right, folks, we've been on the air for 3 hours and 14 minutes. If there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and call it a night. I've lost my voice a couple of times in this video. So here we go. Fran gave us a little more clarification. Bank of America and Chase pay Friday and Saturday. So that'll work. That might be some banks to consider. I may consider them when I open my LLC and S Corp later. Yeah, no problem. Holler at me and we'll get together. Fran says no problem, Zoe. All right. Brian says good night. Yeah, Brian, I'll give you a call tomorrow, man. And so that's it, folks. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank y'all for coming in, and we'll catch you on Thursday night. And he's going to work his part-time job tonight. I'll have to hear what that is tomorrow. I got to wrap this up, but I'm going to give you a call tomorrow, Brian. And Boggs, when you're in the area, holler at me tomorrow too. And everybody else, y'all have a great night. Thanks for watching. We'll see you Thursday. Bye bye.